You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind.
With the emergence of global internet, a human population of several billions, an electronic noosphere, that we are now within the shadow of this transcendental object at the end of time.
I find it a little difficult to say what the subject matter is going to be, because
Magic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Shake and bake, steps back, three-pointer, bang!
Welcome to the podcast. Oh my God. Welcome to the Midnight Variety Hour. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. We should not be here because it's beautiful outside and we should be out there. But we're here with another episode. I'm joined as always by my good friend,
Mr. Adam.
And I'm Tom, now with less hair. And we're back for
I'm
another
digging your
episode.
hair, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's
You
not
look a
too
lot
short?
different, but I love
It's
it.
like a summer look, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to do it now because, like, I'm going to get darker, like, through the summer months. But if I don't, and I keep getting my hair shaved on the sides, I'll just have, like, white wall fucking sides, and I'll be, like, this corn dog colored dude with, like, white sides of his head. So
Yeah.
I had to just do it so it'll be all around nice tan color. Sid, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I want to say the buzz cut is a good look for you.
You think so?
Yeah, no, it's great.
Usually I only do it in the summer, but maybe it'll be a year-round thing now.
Yeah.
Well, you look like someone, like, I couldn't remember you without one. I only seen you twice.
And now
see long
you just
hair.
think, like, that's
Buzz
what he
cut,
looks like.
like,
He
that's
looks
his
like, yeah, shit, all right.
It's like Adam with long hair.
I'm convinced you need to grow your hair out, dude. You have
Need it?
nice, luscious, thick hair. You got to let that grow out just to see what it looks like. If you don't like it, just cut it off.
Dude,
I know
like
you want
getting-
to.
dude, I've been getting used to the compliments about my hair.
Dude,
It'll
it's
grow
amazing.
out. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna cut it till it starts falling out naturally.
Okay.
It's genetic.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah.
So why not fucking rock? Can I cuss him?
You can say all
You
the
can
shit
say
you
whatever
want to
you
say,
want,
yeah.
bro.
Okay, why not? Just rock this till it just falls off naturally.
Yeah.
But I gotta get it cut. Like if it grows too much, gets uncomfortable. Houston is hot as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's black hair gets all trapped in.
Speaking of
You go
rocking
nuts.
hair, I think we talked about this before, but where were you inspired, or who you were inspired by to listen to like classic rock and start getting into playing guitar? You play amazing guitar, dude. I've been up in his room jamming out,
Oh,
got
shit.
the amp turned up. He's an awesome guitar player. I mean, and at least to me, I don't know
Yeah.
what you're compared to, but I mean, I remember we would watch classic rock, videos and a whole bunch of stuff, and it was really awesome. I was like, man, not a lot of people are into classic rock like that, especially from our generation,
Yeah,
at
it's,
least. So it was cool to see that because I grew up my dad was a drummer, so I grew up with a lot of rock playing in my house too. So it was just cool seeing that, and it was a cool connection we had. So I was curious, where did you like get inspired by that, and like, what?
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. Good question. I like talking about it, but first thing, when you say I'm a really good guitarist, it's all relative because there's guys like my buddy Jacob. He also works at Sunshine, my company, and then he's actually playing at Scout Bar this weekend. So down in Clear Lake, if you want to go see him. But I've jammed with him, and it's like how you look at me, like holy shit, he can do all this shit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at him like. So
Sure.
yeah, there's always
There's
especially
levels to it.
yeah, especially in music, there's always, and that's what I love so much about it, especially in rock and roll and just in general. Those guys, when they talk about other musicians, talk about how they're inspired by them and all that stuff. So, yeah, in music, there's always someone better, There's always someone doing something different that sounds better than what you're doing. So there's always.
So does
reason to be
that
inspired.
inspire you to play more? Like whenever you
Dude, sometimes
see
it-
somebody do something cool, you're like, oh, that makes me want to go play right now or
So-
something. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
it depends on my mood. Sometimes it's like, Jesus, I'll never
Yeah.
be that good. Why even
That's how I
fucking
am when I
try?
watch Kyrie Irving. I'm like, yeah, I want to go try that.
Yeah, dude. Now when I watch it, dude, when I was younger, and you can kind of do some of those little moves when you're
Mhm.
playing. It feels good, but nowadays I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch this and not even try that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did I get into classic rock?
Yeah. What inspired you? Was it your parents? I think you told me it was your dad. Okay.
It's definitely my
Yeah.
parents. I mean, I grew up with Rush CD cases lying around, Boston CD cases, Led Zeppelin tape cassettes lying around, Dire Straits CDs, Cars, Fleetwood Mac. That's what my parents listened to. That's what they listened to. They're growing up. That's what they listen to, like, even now, right? And so when you're always in, and it's not just my parents, it's like my uncle, my aunts, on my mom's side, they're just like a rock and roll loving family. So I got into it, obviously, just by listening to it. And then, you know, I thought that was music, right? And so, like, and then I'd listen to pop music, like, that came out, and I'd be like, dude, that's so bad. That's like nothing close.
So at what age?
What I was listening
what
to
age
this.
were you noticing that?
Probably like 8 or 9 or something like that. Between 8 and 10.
It's pretty young to be aware of stuff like that.
Yeah, and I didn't like bands like Green Day or Red Hot Chili Peppers right away that I love now, because they weren't doing as complex of stuff necessarily as. Like
Were
Led
they considered
Zeppelin
like
and Rush.
alternative when they came out? Or,
Oh yeah, punk.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Punk
sure.
was, like,
Red
very-
Hot Chili Peppers was. I mean, Green Day is damn near just straight punk,
If
like
Green
modern
Day
day
is
pop
straight,
punk. You know, yeah.
Green Day is straight punk. I mean, it's bar chord rock and roll, and I didn't appreciate it back then because I was so used to listening to Rush, where it's like compositions that are like, you know, so
sure.
many moving
Extremely
changes.
complex.
Rush is such a crazy band because Neil Peart is probably, if it's not John Bonham, Neil Peart is probably the greatest drummer who's ever lived. And then you have Geddy Lee, who is like a ridiculously talented musician.
Oh, he's a Rush fan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not like a super fan, but I really enjoy Rush. Like, I think.
Oh, they can talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I just like, I love Geddy Lee, and I R.I.P. Neil Peart because I think he's amazing. So it's like, if you compared every band to Rush, 99% of the bands in the world would look like shit because, you know.
Well, and that's exactly the thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I kind of, you know, I think it's sort of a meme to be a huge Rush fan right now.
Yeah.
But if you talk to real Rush fans, dude, we embrace it because there's just more to that than just the meme, just loving Rush. There's a reason why. It's just when you listen to them, you can tell these guys enjoy what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They love being around each other. You can hear it in the music, and you can hear it in everything, every little aspect of it. And it's still, if I listen to a Rush song, it's like, you know, it just means a lot more. I don't know. It just
there's that
has
nostalgia
a
for
connection.
you. Yeah.
Well, it's
Hearing it
nostalgia
at a young
and-
age, like for that kind of music to be influencing you at such a young age, is like extremely like crazy because a lot of people don't get that experience.
Right.
No,
Dude.
they
So you're in a small category of people who are hearing like, trust me, you're in a very rare part, you know, of the population for you to hear that, and then other people talk to you about it. They're not going to understand it, you know.
Oh yeah, I never
Yeah.
get to talk about it. That's
Yeah.
one of the things. You know, it's I don't really get to share it with very many people
Right.
besides like my dad or other people that I jam with that love Rush too. Like,
Right.
but it's not my immediate friends, not my immediate family. They're not fans of that. They don't know them,
Sure.
and you know, if you don't know them, it's kind of hard to get into. Why would you listen to a band that plays 20-minute rock songs? But no, I know it's rare, but like you said, when you grow up listening to Rush and then you listen to everything else comparison, it's how are you supposed to compare?
Pretty cool.
It's so weird because like I really love classic rock and roll too, but neither one of my parents is really like into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad really appreciates classic rock, and like he's got a whole bunch of old vinyl, like original pressings of Carlos Santana and like all these other amazing artists. But his main go-to genre is jazz. Like if he's in the car, he's listening to jazz, or he's listening to fucking stand-up comedy on XM radio. My mom pretty much just listens to like soft rock type shit. I mean, she really enjoys bands like Coldplay and like stuff like that.
Love
She
Coldplay.
she likes Radiohead and some of that stuff, but she's not listening to anything really like classic rock. So I don't really know where it came from, but I'd say it's my favorite genre of music, more than I enjoy hip hop, more than anything else.
Yeah, it kind of stands out on its own. Like it's timeless.
I'm convinced it's the best music
You know
that's
what I
ever
mean?
been made.
It's timeless because it's when pop music became very accessible, right? Radio, records, you could buy records and keep them in your house. They weren't these giant things. So you had recording was sophisticated. You could actually start seeing them on TV.
Yeah.
So it became mainstream, but it kept. Back then, being an artist meant you were the most creative person in your field, or you were the most technically gifted.
Right.
Nowadays, I mean, you could listen and be like,
No. Yeah.
they're not even close to the artist.
Right.
But they're not emphasizing that anymore. It's right. Okay, this person's marketable.
Yeah.
They have some talent.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
But yeah, that's why I think rock and
Yeah.
roll is the best. Classic rock is the best
It's like
genre.
instrumentally wise, amazing. Like the level of talent on the instruments, amazing. Like I feel like that level of
Right.
instrument. Like we have all these shows like The Voice and X Factor and American Idol, and all these people
Right.
go on and they sing as a talent.
Yeah.
But it's like we are hurting for people that are extremely skilled at playing instruments. I feel like. I mean, there's a lot of talent out there right now. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying like the per capita amount of talent, where it's like back in the day, like classic rock times, the majority of musicians that were making successful music, they could also play instruments really well. But now you have pop stars that one can't write a song; they just sing like repetitive garbage, and they can't play an instrument. And sometimes they can't even sing without auto-tune.
Yeah.
So they're essentially just a marketable person
Right. Yes.
who can keep a rhythm. You know, like they're not
Yeah,
actually
and
musicians.
I think, Sid, you nailed it on the head when you were talking about how it's not emphasized in our culture. Like, as far as now, what's emphasized, it's not like there's a shortage of talented people. Like, there's more people.
Right.
There's still incredibly talented people
Sure.
out there.
Exactly.
They're just not being, like, given the proper attention needed.
Right.
So people can recognize them or push it out. Now it's just about what's the club hit, what's the next, what's going to make the most money this fast.
And it's like,
on to
why
the next
learn to
one.
play guitar when I can just import these fucking guitar files into my keyboard and like play a chord progression on my keys, and like I don't even need to pay a guitarist
sure.
or anything like that.
And why would it be inspiring too, right? So back then, you were inspired. Like he's like, okay, let's make an album that's gonna blow some motherfucking minds, right? Let's just blow some minds. Just fucking throw it all out there. Nowadays, like, what's the incentive to do that? You're not. You can put something out on SoundCloud. Maybe your friends will listen to it. You can play a few
But
gigs.
it'll never get played
But
on the radio. You're not
gonna
going to
be
get paid.
You're not gonna be a star. You're not gonna be a rock star. You're not gonna be playing in arenas,
Yeah.
which sucks. You should be.
Yeah.
Some bands fine, like Greta Van Fleet. They are like a freaking Led Zeppelin carbon copy, and they're
You
super
can
successful.
name the number of bands that do it on one hand, though.
Yeah.
And it's like
That's
like in
true.
a rare breed. It's like the white rhinoceros, right?
Sure.
Basically extinct.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
gap in songwriting right now, I think, is what is like the most painful.
Oh God.
Like,
yeah. It's so
dude,
bad.
when you just look at like songs like by, I don't know, just take a generic pop star and they're super repetitive, and then you look and there's like 4 different songwriters credited, and then you look at like Bohemian Rhapsody written by one person, you know what I mean, and it's or you know the stuff that like the Beatles were writing and shit that just like John Lennon or Paul McCartney were just writing, one person, you know. Now you have these entire songwriting teams, and they're like, all right, how can we game the algorithm to come up with like the catchiest, boppiest shit that we know people will play, you know, over and over and over.
Yeah, it's definitely emphasized in our culture. Like, that's just another sign and side effect of what we value in our culture.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's manufactured music. It sucks. I will say, I mean, Taylor Swift won a Grammy. She's got to be good, right? I mean,
I
the
guess.
Grammys, it's just like you win a Grammy now. If someone wins a Grammy, I'm like, okay, that's who not to listen to.
I really have started
That's not all the way true.
It's
Well,
not all the way
There's
true.
definitely
But, I
okay.
mean, Taylor Swift won a fucking Grammy.
But have you heard her last 2 albums?
Did you hear?
They're pretty good, and they're very like
Did you
acoustic,
hear,
and
did
she
you
wrote
hear
all of
Dua
her own
Lipa's
stuff.
last album?
No.
Okay, Dua Lipa's legit.
She's one of my favorite pop stars because I think she's actually fucking good.
She's fucking good. She has a
I
songwriting
like her
team.
as a
It's like
person,
2
too,
people.
but yeah.
She gets like, I don't know. She's very musical. Her songs are actually creative. They're actually lyrically really good too. I mean, I don't think she writes like all the lyrics. She has a team that she has, but
Yeah.
it's like one team.
She has a good sound though.
You know, it's not like it doesn't feel like it's a record studio constructing. It feels
Yeah.
like a good sound. It's got a good sound. She's got a good voice.
Yeah, they're
And-
definitely out there.
It's like one of those things like where everyone found out that Drake had a ghostwriter, and it was like, don't give a fuck. Like, it's
Nobody
because
cares.
like, I don't want to hear that dude say it. I don't want to hear Drake say it because
Right.
the way he performs it is fucking dope. And it's like, I don't really care if Dua Lipa's not writing Dua Lipa songs. I enjoy the way she performs them. I just think she's good.
And the songs are good.
Yeah, the
I'll
songs
at least
are
give
good.
it that a pop star that makes good songs.
And
Dua Lipa.
like her her whole aspect is not just like, oh, she's really good at like throwing her ass and like making songs
Which
about.
she easily could.
Oh yeah, I mean another thing that's interesting about Dua Lipa is she used to like not be able to dance. Like she was a garbage performer.
For sure.
And so many people bullied her online, like commenting on her videos. People made compilations of like Dua Lipa failing to dance for 5 minutes and like she got bullied so much
my
about not
God.
being able to dance. I don't know if you've seen like her latest performances.
No.
She is a fucking performer.
Dude, that's so crazy you brought that up because my girlfriend, she's the one who introduced me to Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have listened to Dua Lipa if she was like, just sit down, listen to it, it's good, because she knows I'm a snob.
Right. Yeah, I'm a
And,
music snob too.
And I listened to it, No Rules or whatever, she showed me the music video. I was like, all right, that's a cool video, that's a good song. Even videos suck now, but that was actually a good video. And I was like, okay, that's a good song. And so I got into it more. She had like an acoustic, small, Tiny Desk NPR concert, and I was like, holy shit.
Dude, those are
this is-
awesome. I
Those
love
Tiny Desk
NPR.
concerts.
So that was really good, and that's when I like, okay, yeah, she's legit. And then, but my girlfriend would always shit on her like as a dancer. So we were drunk once looking up Dua Lipa videos. She's like, oh, she sucks at dancing. Like, watch this. Like, let's just watch the
so
most recent
stale,
one.
right? Like
and we
boring.
watched it. It was from the Grammys or whatever. And I watched it. I was like, she's not a bad
No,
dancer.
she at the
And my girlfriend's
Grammys,
like, holy
she
shit,
destroyed
she
it.
got
Shut that
good.
shit down.
She got good, and she's like, now she's on. She could be like Madonna now, Madonna level.
She's-
Well, maybe not as. Maybe
Damn,
not, but
that's high praise.
it's like saying
But she
MJ,
could,
right?
she could seriously be around for a while. Like
Yeah.
she's that good. But so like I'm okay with people like her being nominated for Grammys and winning Grammys, but for the most part, I no longer put any stock in the Grammys. What I will do though, I like to look at the Grammys that aren't televised, the ones for smaller genres. You know what I mean? Like right now, the majority of the Grammy Awards, I feel like they spend most of the televised time giving off like hip hop related awards, best hip hop performance, best rap performance, best rap collaboration, all that shit. And the best song of the year, I feel like, is probably usually a rap song. Best rap album, yada yada yada, all that shit. But if you like go back and you look at the Grammys that don't get televised, they've given awards to some people that are pretty like talented.
Sure, yeah,
And
they definitely do.
But
Yeah.
two things. It goes back to our earlier point. It's the Grammys that weren't televised.
I know.
Where the good people
you
are.
have to like go and look for these
Yeah.
fucking Grammys.
The
that
good people are in the Grammys that aren't televised. So that goes back to the one problem. Pop music, like, get the good people playing the pop music.
Right.
Sure.
But it also brings me to another thing is we can talk. You brought up some drummers. I was gonna just switch topic, but you were saying John Bonham, Neil Peart. Are there any other musicians or drummers that stood out to you in the classic rock?
Dave Grohl, great drummer.
Yeah.
But just classic rock.
Or just in general, dude. Just throw out names of the musicians that you got that you've just liked.
Oh, that I've liked. Oh shit. Well, okay. Yeah, Dave Grohl. I really like bass players, even though I don't know how to play.
Is that where the Geddy Lee loves come from?
I guess so. I have a bass guitar, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to. My favorite bassist of all time is Les Claypool
Okay.
from Primus.
Yeah.
But I also really love. Flea is a great bassist. Chris Novoselic of Nirvana, great bassist.
Yeah.
Some of my Tom Morello, one of my
Yeah.
favorite. Oh, Tom Morello
Yeah,
might be
I'm
my
obsessed with
favorite.
Tom Morello's a
Morello.
beast.
Yeah.
When Tom Morello and Chris Cornell came together.
Yeah.
Audio
Oh,
Slave,
Chris Cornell, yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh, this isn't Rage Against the Machine." I was like, "No, it's fucking better."
Right.
It's Audio
Even
Slave.
better.
Yeah, I was probably like one of the only people I knew that liked Audio Slave. Well, at that time,
Oh,
I liked
really?
it more than Rage, but because I love Chris Cornell and
Yeah.
I love Tom Morello.
They have
It's
like a huge cult following, huh?
Dude, they came out with 3 albums.
Yeah.
2 were really good. One, I don't even remember it. And then they broke up. But yeah, I mean, they were a big band because it was like a super group
Yeah.
almost. It was basically the Rage guys plus Chris Cornell.
Right.
But it wasn't Rage, so people were like, "What? I don't like it." But I loved it.
You ever listen to One Day as a Lion?
No.
One Day as a Lion is like just a 2-man band. It's Zach from Rage, and then the drummer is I always forget his first name. I'm pretty sure his name is John Theodore. He's like one of my favorite drummers ever. He was the drummer for the Mars Volta.
Oh shit.
I don't know if you ever listen.
Yeah.
I always fucking forget his first name, but he's probably my favorite current day drummer. But anyway, it's just Zach and John Theodore from the Mars Volta, and they make some fucking badass music. They've only ever put out 1 album, but that album fucking kills so hard. It's crazy. Tom York from Radiohead is probably one of my
Yeah.
favorite musicians of all time.
Yeah, Tom is a genius.
Yeah, I love Radiohead's probably my favorite band, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's a good favorite band to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Tom is one of those guys that's kind of withstood the test of time as far as being a talented musician who's still featured
Right.
in a lot of big events. Like, I think people that it's so weird to me. People, my friends or cousins, they'll listen to the pop music. They won't know necessarily any bands, but they're like, "Oh, Tame Impala or Tom York. Oh, I love them."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what about all the other psychedelic music I've been trying to show you? Like, what happened? Like, I don't know. For some reason, especially Tame Impala, but guys like Tom York have stayed relevant, withstood the test of time. But that's just a testament how good he is.
I think I talked about it on the show with Marcus when I was saying about the time I went to that Tom York show.
Yeah,
in that abandoned
Day
post
for
office
night?
at midnight.
Yeah,
Day for night.
Yeah.
That was like one of the wildest concerts I've ever been to. But one thing I love about my job is I get to travel and I go to music festivals a lot.
Yeah.
Well, not right now because of COVID, but I've seen some crazy performances just through work, and it's like the thing I'm most thankful for because I've seen some wild shit, and it's just like to be able to do that for work. I mean, obviously, like I'm working while I'm there, but it's just so cool.
I was gonna bring that up,
amazing.
and we were talking about, the lack of talent and stuff like that. But like, there's a lot of cool stuff going on as far as the festivals, and there's definitely a need for it. Like, I used to live in Austin, and people love just going to see random bands. Like, it was the thing to do. You just go see, hey, let's go see somebody new who's performing, just random bands, local. You go to local venues, and you just go see who's playing.
Yeah.
And it was something that people like enjoyed to do, versus like, oh, let's get the biggest tickets at Toyota Center or whatever. Like, they just wanted to go see the local stuff, and you saw some amazing people. Like, I would just go see random guys performing. I would walk into a thing. We were in Austin one time, and we walked into a random side.
I don't know who the fuck that guy
street,
was.
and,
There was this guy in this little bar, and he was fucking killing
dude,
it.
he was ripping.
Like he was just shredding on this fucking guitar, but he was also singing.
Yeah.
And then we walked out, and we were like, "Who was that guy?" And they're like, "Oh, that's Daryl. He's here every night. He's here every Thursday or some shit like that."
Yeah, I think he had maybe a SoundCloud account, and that was it. Like, but he was just a beast. And I was like,
I don't
hey.
know if it was just because I was like fucking drunk, or
Yeah,
if he was really that good.
I remember
both,
we
but
were compelled by, like, we walked in and we just sat down and just started,
I
like,
know.
we just sat down, we're just compelled,
the
like, wow,
sound
just
of the
watching him.
guitar coming out of this bar like beckoned us into the establishment, and then we sat down. We were probably in there for like an hour, and it was just amazing. It was like the best spent hour ever.
It was really nice.
I would say that's such an Austin thing. The thing about Austin that's so different than anywhere else, really, is that appreciation for music. Like, it's the thing to do to go see a band on a weekend.
Yeah.
Like, and it'll be bands. My friends that live there, they'll be like, "Oh, Soccer Mommy." I'm like, "Who the fuck
Yeah,
is that?"
you're never
Who
hear
is
those
that?
guys. Yeah.
No.
And they all know about him. So in Austin, like, the music scene is like it's like they're totally separated from the pop music scene. Their pop music scene is the Austin scene. They know everything about it. They'll teach you everything. It's good music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really is.
just reminded me, because we did something for work in Austin. That's
Yeah.
why we were there that night. That same night, I just remembered one of the bands that performed that night. It ended up turning into, like, they were pretty good. I think they had a few, like, 1,000 something plays on Spotify.
No, they were relatively.
Yeah, they're
big.
relatively big, not like anything major, but so they ended up selling out this venue.
Yeah.
And it got way too overcrowded. People started picking up the barricades
and like
in the
passing
middle.
it back out of the bar.
Really?
And the bar
dude.
owners, there was just like
Crazy.
nothing they could do about it. So we're sitting there in like so we're sitting where the audio engineers sit. We're like in this little gated off area, and we're just watching this like crowd get rowdier and rowdier, and then they just
Which
lift up.
venue?
Oh fuck, man! It was
Black something. It was.
some bar on 6th Street.
It was on
I
6th.
forget the name of it.
Upstairs.
It's just one of those local.
Really, just like one of those bars, small bars. It wasn't like
There's like
the
at least
emos
50
or-
of them on that street. So yeah,
I don't remember the name
we'd
of
have
the
to
bar.
find it.
Swan Dive. I'm just kidding.
I honestly
If
don't
I
remember.
saw it, I would remember.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, oh, that's
Definitely,
the one.
definitely.
But now I don't know.
It's all blacked out. Like when you walk inside of the top part, like the floors are black, the walls are black, and it's just like, and there's a stage in the back corner when you walk up. Like, it's 2 stories. When you walk up, that's where the venue is. The whole place was rocking, dude. It was insane.
But I remember the name of the band. The band was Otis the Destroyer.
Yes,
and
Otis the
they
Destroyer.
fucking killed it.
They did kill it. It was like punk, weird, indie shit. But the moral of the story was, like, these guys were like rocking it,
Dude,
and these
they're-
people just started raging, and just
Dude,
like, that stuff's happening still right now.
Austin's a city where you can be a rock star still.
Yeah.
You can be a rock star
sure.
still because people know you. You play at the venues. You get traction. And there's so much ample opportunity for you to do that. Like, if you're really serious about music, you can make it happen in Austin.
I believe that too.
That's what makes it like a special city. We'll see if it keeps it up, right? Austin's always.
How do you like
good.
Gary Clark Jr.?
The Parish.
good.
That was
He's
the name
good?
of it. I
The
had to
Parish?
look it up. It
That's
was
it.
called The
Yeah,
Parish. I had to
nice.
look it up. Sorry.
Yeah,
Not to interrupt, but I just had to look it up. It was going to bug me all night.
Yeah, I would say another Austin band that I saw that they're called TC Superstar or something like that. My friends love them, and I went to a show. It was at Swan Dive, and it was packed, and everyone fucking knew their songs.
Yeah.
It's like
Who are
no
these
one's
people
heard
that are learning these lyrics? The
Yeah.
lyrics aren't online, so
Yeah.
you're either listening to their music
Or
enough to
you keep
learn the
going
lyrics.
to their shows.
Yeah,
you're
you
like,
just keep
you
going
gotta
to the
follow
show.
me.
Yeah,
It's
so-
crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's still a hunger for that. You know, I
Yeah,
think there's still
it's
that.
there.
It's a
It
smaller,
exists in
but
Austin
yeah.
for
Okay,
as
so
long
for
as it
people
can.
who don't know, you graduated from Texas,
UT. Yeah.
University of Texas, so that's
Yeah.
why you know the Austin life too.
Right.
So
Yeah, and
I feel like I would have never gotten work done if I went to UT.
dude,
I
it's
feel
an,
like I would have just been
it's an
doing
amazing
Austin.
place.
It's-
Austin is amazing.
it's not easy, but it's a lot of fun. You figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, or you drop out. But you figure it out or you drop out. But no, I would say like from 2010. One thing now is like, we'll see if it can keep up. I think it will for the most part, but I would hate it if it started becoming like a popular music place. You know, if it was like
Yeah.
Billie Eilish was staging fucking residencies there, that would suck. But if it stays the way it is now, like
Yeah.
the one thing, you know, you just hope that as big as South by Southwest and stuff have gotten, you hope that it keeps some sort of the roots that it had, because, I mean, that's the vibe of Austin. That's what, like,
Yeah.
whenever you leave Austin, I feel sad.
Yeah, no,
And it's-
I have the same feeling because when I was there, like, it was still booming. Like, it was growing while I was there for sure. And I was only there for like 2.5 years. And by the time I left, like from when I came to when I left, 2.5 years, it had grown by like magnitudes.
Downtown
And I was
Austin,
like, how is
yeah.
it growing so fast? And like, I literally saw it before my eyes in that short a period. It wasn't there long, but it was enough to see a change. I was like, man, I wonder like what this was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but it's just, and then even now with COVID and people coming in from California and Texas and all these places, and just to get, you know, they're just hearing about it and it's just growing into this massive thing.
Yeah.
And it's just not what Austin is. Like
Yeah.
once it like exceeds a certain amount of people, it's just not going to be Austin anymore. It's just going to be something else. So it's
Yeah.
pretty
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, right? I guess that's what the whole Keep Austin Weird was about. When I first got there in 2010, they kept saying that. And I was like, yeah, let's keep it weird, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was an actual movement because people are
It's a
been
movement.
concerned for,
Yeah.
you know, many, many years that the culture
Yeah.
of Austin is going to be lost to everybody finally realizing what a gem of a city it is. Which is like, okay, it's inevitable. A place that badass,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the coolest
Yeah.
place. People are gonna want to fucking come there. It's not gonna
I
be a
know.
well kept secret for long, and especially like it's just got such a Cali state of mind that Californians will be attracted to it. They are attracted.
They already
to
are.
It.
It's
Yeah.
They're like Californians are flocking to Austin.
Yeah.
Austin, as like it exists today, as we know it, I really give it 10 years, and then
Yeah.
it's gonna be gone. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about. Do you remember how badass Austin used to be?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you remember how
I mean,
like, much
I
fun
already
we used to have
am
there?
talking about it.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, downtown used to be a janky shithole. You just to walk
Right.
around, puke, you know, after 6th Street. And now it's like posh. It's like beautiful. Beautiful buildings, clean ass roads. They got the lights, anyways. Whatever.
I wonder what rent is looking like. Is rent, you think, just like
Shooting
through the fucking
every
roof?
year, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I should
big
ask
time.
Garrett, my buddy, who I was just on the phone with over there. He's a broker in Austin.
I would be so curious to know.
Yeah,
So like,
but it's competitive.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Dude, a house goes on the market there, it's gone.
Gone.
I mean, Joe Rogan lives there now.
yeah. So my experience was Austin was the first place I lived on my own after I moved out of my house, out of my parents' house.
What a
And
fucking
I went and just moved
experience.
straight to Austin, right? So like, I literally credit Austin for changing
Yeah.
my life in many ways because
Yeah.
it was like my first experience of first being out of the house, two, experiencing a culture that was completely different from anything I've ever known. I grew up in the suburbs of North Houston, you know, like that's all I ever knew. And when I went to Austin, it was like my world just like expanded and exploded. I was like, what is happening? What is this? This is awesome. Met so many amazing people, great connections. And then just like being out in nature, going to those natural springs. Like there was so much like mystic, like
Yeah.
beauty around it and like so much, like a lot of nostalgia for me. And So it was just awesome. And then when I came back to Houston, I just had a completely different perspective on my life, on the world and the way things can be, the way people can be, the way the environment can be.
Yeah.
Like so many things changed the way after coming back. So it was just an awesome place for me too.
I think everyone should live in a city that's not their hometown. Like
Yeah.
at least once in your early years, like in your 20s or your early, late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, whatever. You should just try and live somewhere that's not your hometown.
It really would change your life, like
Yeah.
without a doubt. Whether you
And live
whether
somewhere
it's for the good
that's
or the
not your
bad.
hometown by yourself. Like
Yeah.
just go there. Don't
Explore.
not with your family. Like just be your
Yeah.
own adult in a city you've never lived in before.
Dude, you grow up fast doing that, and it's the best type. You have so much more fun. You don't have any inhibitions. You don't have fucking. Everything's so new,
Yeah.
right? So you're like a kid again.
Wait, was that you too
Yeah.
when you moved out of your parents? Did you go straight to Texas Tech or to UT?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had
Yeah.
similar.
My brother went to UT too, though, so
Okay.
I had a family connection. But still, I mean, it was getting out of Houston for
Yeah.
the first time.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, I mean, you just feel like a kid again. Even when you go, even if you go travel right now and you go to another city for, a month, it's just such I call it vacation mode mentality, but I think it's just like, it's just a different stimulus that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you get so.
It just puts your mind in a different mode.
Yeah, it does.
It literally
vacation
shifts
mode,
your
yeah.
entire everything you're functioning, the way you do things, the way you look at things, like everything switched because you're like, okay, I'm out of my element. I'm in somewhere completely new, and it gives you like this, like my parents just left. I get to stay
Right.
home alone.
Oh,
you know what I
man,
mean?
it's
Kinda-
the same
that kind
feeling
of kid
like
feeling.
when you're home alone. It's
Yeah.
like I can do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah. And you really
weird.
can. You really can do whatever the fuck you want. And you need to be able to do whatever the fuck you want, like once. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, I was talking to my friend Jeff about it. He's like, "Oh, we need to keep that mentality when we go back home," and it's like,
You can't.
I don't
It's
think
impossible.
that's possible.
Yeah.
Because home is home.
Yeah.
It's fucking digs. Yeah, it's the same shit.
Yeah. It also breaks the cyclic nature, because we're creatures of habit, right? So when we're in the same place, I feel like we get stuck in cycles very easily. It's
Yeah.
just a natural thing to do. It's just evolutionary. And then once you move out somewhere, you go somewhere new, you live somewhere new, it breaks that for a moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you can see past that. You're like, okay, here's what I could be. Here's what I could be doing. It could be experiencing. Like here's another side of my life right now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Is that just? Are we meant to do that? Are we meant to be nomadic in that way? You know?
Some people are, but some people aren't. I think
That's
some
true. There are
people.
homebodies. There are
There are
homebodies.
people that are perfectly content
Sure.
with living and dying, being born, living, and then dying in the same little town that they grew
They're
up in.
content only because they're ignorant, right? Ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss, right?
Well, no, I think
if
I've
they
met
knew
people
what
that
they're
have
missing-
traveled and they're like,
yeah,
it's
no,
not for me.
for sure.
Yeah.
Dang,
There's. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I know. I've met those.
I see
people
what you're
too.
saying too, because I think there's definitely a percentage of that. Because unless you experience it, you don't know
Right.
until you have. But then there's other people, like you can see, like around the world, you'll see like interviews of people going to different places or towns where you can tell like those people have been there their entire lives.
Yeah.
They talk to them, they're extremely happy and they just love it. Like they have an amazing community,
Right.
but they're living like a good life. I mean, if you hate it, then yeah. But if you love where you're at, I think it's a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. It's the vibe
Yeah.
of the city. Like Austin has the vibe.
For sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
10 years, right? We're giving it 10 years.
10 years, I'm telling you, 10 years from now, you will miss the Austin that exists. It's already kind of changed, I feel like. I mean, so many Californians have come in. But, like, think about how you think of Austin in your mind. In 10 years, you'll wish it was still like that. It's not going to be like that
for
anymore.
Dude, people have been saying
People
that
are already saying that.
since the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, they've been saying this since the 70s.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
It's the same. But it's getting pretty noticeable. You know how things move fast right now. But you know how everybody likes the town they studied abroad in? Like, everyone fucking raves about it. So I studied abroad in Buenos Aires. So the moment I stepped foot in that city, I was like,
I didn't know you did that. That's cool, man.
That's
I'm-
fucking
damn.
cool. What were you studying there?
I don't know. I mean, I had class, but I don't fucking
I
remember
don't know.
class.
Oh, my God.
I was there for some business classes. I don't remember
How long
what
were
the
you there?
classes were. I was there for like maybe 6
so
months.
weird.
UT, you need to get your money back. You sent this man to Buenos Aires for
No,
no
they-
Too
reason.
late now.
Dude, yeah, they I don't know what I did.
So what
over
was your
there.
experience like out there?
Dude, no, so we were talking about like just going to a new place and just kind of like just finding this new part of yourself, like, holy shit, where's this been, you know? And the moment I stepped foot in Buenos Aires, dude, I was like, dude, this is, you felt the vibe. I was like, this is the place. Like,
Right.
I don't know, for some reason I feel like I just belong here. And dude, the moment I haven't been speaking. I started learning Spanish. Took AP Spanish, whatever, in high school. So I was good. My brother's a Spanish major, so I was good at it. But I hadn't spoken, right? You live in America, you don't practice. The moment I got there, dude, we got in the taxi cab driving. I started just speaking Spanish. I didn't care. I did not care how shitty I sounded or like anything. The guy was loving it, right? So there's two things. One, he's giving me a vibe like, dude, here, just be yourself.
Right.
Second thing is like, dude, I'm actually not giving a shit what people think right now. Like, usually when you speak another language to somebody here, like even... Like, I know, like the cleaning lady that comes to our parents' house, like, she always likes to talk to me in Spanish because I know, but I always feel guarded.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I kind of suck. I don't want to talk. But there, I was like,
You're just whatever.
Switch flipped.
It's like if this guy thinks I'm stupid, he thinks I'm stupid. I don't care. Yeah.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care what anyone. And it was like, I had so much fun, and I realized, I was like, okay, this is what fun can be.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back, how some people are happy in one place, and when they travel, they find a new spot in themselves. That was one place where I was like, yeah, this is it. And that's why if people are happy in a place, they're in a vibe in, they can live there forever. They feel the vibe, feel the community.
Yeah. I wish I'd studied abroad. Sounds amazing.
Dude, you can do it. Studying abroad is just going abroad.
Oh, yeah.
Learning.
Whoa, that'd be a great T-shirt.
Yeah.
Studying abroad
Like me,
is just
I don't
going
know
abroad.
I don't remember going to class, dude.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I did. I was hungover and dying, and class was just a way for me to just hydrate for whatever the fuck was up next,
Oh my god.
Shit.
Sounds fun, man.
I bet it goes down in Buenos Aires.
I don't feel bad. UT took my money. I paid them, right?
Sure.
I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Dude,
You should have fun.
yeah, you should.
It is a part of the, if you want to talk about experience and like learning, that's one way to do it, man.
Dude, just going and living abroad.
Yeah.
I've had buddies that do it, and they come back, they're changed people.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think in Europe, Australia, like in England, they give kids, gap year is a thing.
Right.
Right?
It should be the standard practice.
See, but American work culture and American culture in general is so toxic.
It really is. Everyone should just have, in between college and high school, everyone should have a year to just, like, discover some shit. Go just learn who you are before you jump into the next big phase of your life. I think everyone should be able to travel for a year.
Right.
Especially at that age.
I agree.
Like, especially at that age.
So I think Europe's kind of figured out, and a lot of more progressive countries have figured it out in that way. It's like, I think in America, you're constantly stuck in the rat race. You're like, success equals money equals happiness. That's American culture. I don't care. It's very capitalist, right?
Yes.
Which basically means you're never going to be happy because you can always make more money. Look at Jeff Bezos.
The disease of more. That's what I call it.
And in Europe, they basically figured out, it's like, all right, there's 7 billion of us. Fucking, we got to survive somehow. Let the government take care of a lot of this shit. Give free healthcare. Take gap years. Enjoy your life. Life is worth more than just the rat race.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that better? But a lot of people will say, like, no, they're, socialist and they're taking away certain freedoms. And it's like, I think they're more free there than here because...
That sounds like freedom to me, man. Yeah.
Yeah, they're, like, if they go to they have, I don't know, like appendicitis, they have to go to the hospital. If they don't have to worry about insurance.
It's just
they
free.
get taken care of for free.
You just don't get a bill.
For free.
You know what
Here
sounds like
go...
freedom to me? Freedom sounds like not being weighed on by debt because you accidentally broke your leg. Like...
If you have cancer, you should not sell fucking meth to cover it. Isn't that what our best
2008 to 2013?
Yeah, right. Isn't that the lesson we learned from Breaking Bad of how shitty our healthcare system is?
It'd be like if that show was set in Sweden, it would be 2 episodes long. Like it would be a 2-episode show.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, oh, you have cancer. Here's treatment.
That shit would be a mini
fine.
series if it was in.
Yeah.
Or your wife should not have to. You shouldn't have to pay thousands of dollars because your wife wanted to give birth in a hospital. You know what I mean? It's so silly.
It's so crazy.
And then
how is that freedom?
And then student loan debt.
Ugh.
Spain. If you want to go to college, I don't know. I don't want to say any country in Europe, but a lot of countries in Europe. If you want to go to college, hey, if you can get in, It's taken care of. Why? Because they actually look at it as an investment back into their own country.
Yes.
We're sending this person to college to send a skilled person into the workforce later.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's so insane to me that you're saddled with...
On that same topic, as far as wanting to benefit society by helping your children grow to be the best person they can be.
Right.
The same thing should go... Okay, you're talking about schooling, right? The same thing should go, we're talking about in the medical field. And like, if people are healthier, aren't they going to be more productive?
Exactly. Right.
But it's not built that way. It's not set up that way.
Right.
You
It's
should
like,
want to invest in having a country full of healthy, educated people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. What you aspire is like investment bankers like bragging about how many hours they pull. Like, oh, I did a 100-hour week. It's like, that's not fucking healthy, dude. How much fucking
Like, that's
coke
not
did you
cool,
get you
dude.
through?
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's whack. Fucking 100 hours.
Why? But why? That is our American work culture. That's it. I mean, I don't see it changing.
Right.
I mean, we're having this conversation, so
Hopefully it
something's
does.
changing.
I think we gotta have free public institutions in America. Not every institution has to be public, but we gotta have free public institutions. Our education are already public higher education institutions. We already have public high school, public whatever, but they're not good schools. And in bad areas, they're really, really bad.
Yeah, we've talked about that quite a bit on this show, how bad we think the public school system is.
Yeah, it's all depend. Like it's kind of a private school system.
Yeah.
If you live in a rich neighborhood, you go to a great school. If you live in a poor neighborhood, you go to a shit school.
It's true.
Well, the idea that property taxes fund
That's private
schools
school.
is so crazy. It's like you're literally setting up a system where low-income places with property values that are low are going to have poorly taken care of schools. I think it's crazy that, like, depending on where your school is, changes the textbooks that you get, the computers that you have, the technology that you have. I think, and this, you call me a socialist or whatever, I think schools should be like identical. Schools in the suburbs should be identical to the schools in the fucking inner city. You should have the access to the same computers, the same it should be across the board,
right.
the same level of education.
Can we address this?
You're a socialist, but you're right.
Okay, see, I knew this was going there.
That's fine.
'Cause I want to address this and we talked about this too, by saying something, you immediately put someone in a box and you say
Exactly.
socialist. So
Yeah.
okay, I just
Well,
want to
yeah.
clarify, because whenever we're talking about stuff like this, we're talking about free free schooling and stuff like this. Okay, when you immediately call someone a socialist, you say that's a social thing. People immediately identify it with something else, and it's usually negative, right?
Yeah, it's
And
that's one of the really
so
shitty
we have
things.
to we have to clarify that, because when we start throwing around the word socialist, like immediately it's a trigger word. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's crazy. It's like saying communist. No, it's true. I was saying it more like you're a socialist, but you're right,
Yeah.
because you're right. Like it's not a bad thing.
I think it's so funny, the negative connotation around the word socialism.
Oh, here in
It's-
America,
It's like embedded,
Yeah.
deeply embedded into our psyche.
It's just like how our work culture is so deeply embedded. It's a
Yeah.
socialist. It's like, but think about what it means. Honestly, making
let's
it that
break it
way.
down.
It's on purpose.
It's on purpose.
Yeah.
It's the power structures. The powers that be in America want us
Yeah.
to not like socialism, because if we do, we can bring down the power structure.
The people that drastically benefit from capitalism do not want you to think socialism is awesome.
Right.
I'm not saying, if you're a capitalist, that's totally okay. Like, I think there's a lot of great things that come from capitalism. All I'm saying is the negative connotation that is just assigned at birth to socialism, I think, is so stupid.
And because also I like to think of it, it's an ever-changing thing.
Yeah.
Same with capitalism.
It
The
is.
first day that capitalism or the word was invented to describe whatever system was being used, that has changed dramatically since that inception.
Right.
Same with socialism. It's not the same. Like, we learn from experiments. Whenever we implement things into society, into cultures, we see what happens, learn from it, grow, adapt. That's what happens
Right,
all the time,
right.
every day, right? And same thing with, like, if you want to call it
There's-
socialism, I don't even want to call it that because of that fact, but we can just call it what it is. It's just a new system, a new way of doing things. It's really all it
Yeah.
is.
And it's like, the amount of socialist principles that are in play in everyone in America's life. It's like, if you have a Social Security card, you are literally a card-carrying socialist, you know? Like
Exactly.
Socialized medicine, socialized, infrastructure and the funding of our roadways. And like all of these are socialist principles. But people don't attribute that to socialism.
Exactly.
They just hear socialism and they think,
I just got.
oh, you're going to make America Venezuela, you know?
Yeah, it's so insane. Yeah, I think what socialism really is in this country is another word is populism, which is also a bad word. But I think that's where the right and the left actually have a lot in common. Is most people are actually populist at heart, but populism is the same thing, right?
That's from Roman times, right? Like they usually had the populist.
I don't know where
yeah.
it's from, but
That's where that
so there's a
originated
book by Thomas Frank. I don't know. Have you ever read What's the Matter or heard of What's the Matter with Kansas?
No.
It's basically a book about like why rural America votes Republican, even though it's against their own interests. And it's really, 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 really good. It's like, basically an editorial. He writes it very unbiased. It's really good, and basically it's a pretty damning on like what the Democratic Party got completely wrong. But he also wrote a book about like I forget the people know, and it's about the history of populism. And populism got us off the gold standard, right? Because on the gold standard, what did that mean? If you had gold, you owned everything. If you didn't, you owned nothing. You had no chance. So populism got us like huge movements for 30, 40 years. Finally got us off the gold standard. Getting off the gold standard was the first actual like huge boom in people's income, like the whole country's income. Like people could actually now all make money
Right.
once you got off the gold standard. So like when people say, oh, populism's bad or socialism's bad, it's like, dude, you have a life now because of that. Because it actually leveled the playing field to where it actually became true capitalism.
Right.
Right? In true capitalism, right, everyone's supposed to have a level playing field, and your work, the work you put in, the decisions you make actually affect your end outcome. But nowadays that's not the case. No matter how, some people can work way more hours than somebody others, and one person can make $1 billion and they're not working, and one person can barely put enough food on their table and they're working 3 jobs, right? How does that make sense? Who's actually doing work and doing the capital work? How is it not going? How money not going to them? So yeah. Anyways, rant. But
no, I love it. It's good.
But populism, getting off the gold standard, right? No one's going to argue against that. What was that? Technically a socialist policy, right? And then obviously Social Security, which you mentioned. Dude, if you went to Berkeley in the 1960s, how much tuition do you pay at Berkeley now? You probably pay like a fortune, like $100,000. I don't know, $75
a year, yeah.
Probably.
You paid $500.
Wow.
And this was the people.
What year was that?
This is like 60s, 50s, 60s.
Okay.
This is our boomer generation. You wonder how they got to the top? Because they could go fucking college for nothing.
Right.
And now they're the ones that are like.
And then and so they don't get it now. It's like they see these kids struggling. It's like, I don't have any sympathy for these kids. I put myself through college.
Right.
Why can't they put themselves through college? It's because like. Well, I don't know, Stanley, because, when you were going to college, you could be a fucking vacuum cleaner salesman and be a homeowner and put yourself through college. You know what I mean? But it's like the level of income has not risen to the cost of what all this shit goes for now. And it's like, it's not even the same structure anymore. It was totally feasible to have a little job, whatever. People could put themselves through college waiting tables.
Yeah.
You could make enough money to support yourself and pay your tuition fucking like waiting tables or working an entry to mid-level job. And now you cannot go unless your parents are balling or you take out or you are lucky enough to get scholarships and grants or you take out a fuck ton of loans and debt.
Oh, and then you're fucked for life.
Then you're fucked for life. Did you know like if you file for bankruptcy and you try and free yourself up from your debt, you cannot rid yourself of student loan debt with bankruptcy.
Ridiculous.
I learned that the other day. So it's
That's
just like
insanity.
it's literally
It is.
it's
It is.
inescapable. You either pay it off or die. Those are the only ways you're getting out of it. Seriously.
Yeah.
Dude, and the one hope is Democratic Party now in power. If you control 3 chambers, Senate, House, and presidency, how the fuck have they not gotten rid of that yet? I know it's been 3 months or whatever the hell it is, 4 months, but if you're truly the Democratic Party of America,
I know.
you get rid of that shit now. You don't talk to me about your pronouns and stuff. You get rid of the stuff I care about, which is...
Oh my God. See, that's another thing, man. We're spending so much time wasting our fucking energy with all this fucking, let's make mispronouncing a fucking hate crime. And it's like, fam, just
Dude,
get rid of the student loan.
this
debt,
is
you
this is
know?
and this is what the Thomas Frank both his books kind of touch on. It's like how out of touch the Democratic Party is to the people. That's why I've lost them. Those people don't care about what you
Right.
learned at Harvard. They care about, dude, am I gonna have a job next year?
Right.
Like, am I gonna make it?
Yeah.
Am I gonna make it?
Totally.
Can you help me make it? Like, can you give me some sort of programs that can? I'll make the decisions, but give me the fucking programs and make it happen, right?
Right.
That's what the Democratic Party. That's why they ruled the South for so long, because it was the rural area of America. It was the quote unquote common man, right? That was the Democratic Party of America, and then how they lost them. They just stopped giving a shit. Well, biggest reason is because who started giving them money, right? So whoever gives you money then
Right.
determines policy, and that's America, right? But that's not capitalism.
Right.
Truly, I don't think that's capitalism.
To me, that's criminal activity.
It's crony capitalism is the
Yeah.
right word for it. But
Yeah.
it's cronyism.
Yeah, the fact that, and I work on another podcast of several others, and one of them, they're trying to push this bill through here in Houston to allow women to at least be 21 years of age to work in strip clubs. And they're trying to pass legislation on this, and they're going to like Austin, lobbying. They're not lobbying, but like you have to go and like make your presence felt. But she's saying it's so hard whenever like they got the beverage companies who are making a killing at strip clubs. You know what I mean? They're there, and they're saying, here, take this. Let's keep that on the low. Keep it 18. But they're doing it. But my friend who's doing it, she's doing it purely to help people. Like purely like, hey, let's just make this older that way, because I don't know if y'all know, Houston is the #1 spot for sex trafficking in the U.S.
I didn't know that.
In the U.S.?
In the U.S. Houston
Holy
is the worst
shit.
spot for sex trafficking.
How is it worse than like L.A.?
We're right.
Yeah.
I mean, many reasons, but one, we have the buyers for it. Like, there's a ton of oil companies, a lot of money here. People, when they come here for business trips, people around the world come here. They want women. It's lucrative. It's lucrative. But also, we're right next to Mexico. There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of many things that are happening here for the reason why, and that just goes in depth. But I was going back to this because we're talking about lobbying, and like the fact that they're genuinely trying to make the world a better place. They're just trying to help people, like, and just help women in need. Like, it's just a simple thing. Like, we just want to make it 21. Can we please? They're like, no, shut it down. Boom. You know what I mean? They couldn't get it passed. I think
Right.
they're trying to get it passed this year. But like, it's purely because there's money investments involved in that. And so it's literally just making the world a better, a
You're saying
worse
it's
place.
alcohol
'Cause
companies
Yeah.
that are... Why
But-
do they care?
they're making so they just want more people to come. They just want more business, more things.
But if
So
it's people that
they don't want any legalized.
You're saying
anything
more
legal.
people are coming because the girls are younger?
No, they just don't want legal matters. Like, they don't want anything legally
Yeah,
involved in that.
man-
They're just like, no, keep everything off. Let's
They're
keep
just
it the way
trying
it
to-
is. Look, we're
It's like-
doing fine.
It's like
you know
the
what I
gun
mean?
control shit.
Yeah.
But so there's two things. I was just point. Like, you know how we were shot. Like, we both didn't know it was the #1 in the U.S. Right? How the fuck did we not know that? Right?
Exactly.
So again,
And
powers
yeah.
that be
Exactly.
keeping that shit. That's not coming on Channel 2 KHOU.
No.
Houston News.
People
right?
are trying though. People are out there pushing.
Sometimes
Which-
you'll see a story on the news crop up like whenever a massage parlor gets shut down or something like that. But I mean, I've lived here my whole life. I didn't know it was the #1 city in the country
Right.
for sex trafficking.
Same.
Yeah,
And so
it's insane.
that's one. Powers that be, like that control the media, obviously don't want that to be the #1 thing you think about in Houston. But I think if every citizen in Houston had that in their head, like, holy shit, we're the #1 city in sex trafficking, stuff will get done. It wouldn't be anymore.
Yeah, dude. If you go
Right?
drive down Bissonnette, I don't recommend this, but this is what I've been told. Like, you go drive down Bissonnette, late night hours, cars are literally lined up. Lines of cars are on that street in the middle of the night.
How? I
If you
mean,
go down
obviously the
Bissonnette.
cops shouldn't.
The cops know, dude. Everyone knows. Like, this is a thing. Like, if you live in the south side of Houston, you know that's a thing because you live over there. But yeah, I mean, women are walking. Like, I've been down there because I had a Jamaican friend and friends, and we would go down to the south side because
No, just
that's
kidding.
where like a lot of the islanders are out there. You know, everyone's out there, and they usually party late nights. And so we were out there just partying, hanging out, having a good time. And I like walking back to my car in the streets. There's literally prostitutes and strippers. Obviously, they're barely wearing anything, and they're just walking around beeping their tasers. Bzz, bzz, they're just walking, just, you know, don't fuck with me, but hey, I'm out here, like, kind of thing, you know. And we're just like, what the hell? But it's like, that's the reality. Like, when you see that, you're like, oh shit, this is happening every single day in our city.
Damn.
Every day, dude. People are
That's
out there,
wild.
and it's crazy stories, dude. And yeah, I've heard, because I only know this because of my friend who I do the podcast with, and I hear all the stories. She brings down people who are fighting this every day, like you can go volunteer and help out at a lot. There's some locations where they help the women get like just basic needs, you know, basic women needs, food, clothing, if you can get a shelter.
Where can you help out? Yeah, the information.
I know the organization is called Houston 20.
Okay.
And if you go on their website, I think they have everything there. But yeah, it's just crazy shit. It's
Crazy.
just going on you just never hear about.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
It's wild.
How do we talk about that? How do we get to that?
It's just now. I mean,
Yeah.
share this
That's
with your
pretty
friends.
big.
If you hear this, share it with your
What would you
friends.
think if sex work and prostitution was legal?
Yeah.
How do you think that would affect things?
Don't ask me that question. Because I think
Why?
a lot of things should be illegal. I
You don't
don't
want to
think.
get canceled?
Well, yeah, people.
Too late.
No, you can say it. If
No, I know.
I'm just
it's
kidding.
in a lot of countries it works, and it's,
No, I know. Yeah,
it keeps
I
people
think
safer.
I think a
and-
lot of things, a lot of criminal activity can be solved
By making
whenever
shit
things are
legal,
legal.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
for
this.
sure.
It's the same thing with drugs.
yeah.
Right.
If you
sure.
legalize coke, are you gonna have a huge problem smuggling it from, all gang-ridden places through Latin America? Probably not as much.
Right.
I mean, weed. I don't know what the stats are. I don't know what the stats are, but I'm sure it's done something in terms of reducing criminal activity.
100%. Definitely.
36 states have legalized weed. 36. That's over half.
36?
How's it
Whoa.
not? How's it not
That's amazing.
federally? How's it
36 now, is that medical and recreational, or
Right. Probably
36
just
just medical?
at least medical?
Medical.
At
for
least
sure,
medical.
yeah.
Okay.
And
36.
36.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's way over half the country.
Way over half. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
is
I
it not?
remember the-
Okay, federally legal. Where is that?
It's gonna come soon.
You
I
think?
think with a Democratic House, Senate, and White House, I think
So we're gonna get federally legal weed and free education. Let's do this.
for 4 years until it gets taken over by the other side, and then that
just
should
looking
no, I'm
at
just
like
kidding.
how long
But-
it takes for something like that to change, and this is why I love what's his name, Morris, dude who's always on Joe Rogan. He does the Vice. Morris, what's his name? Hamilton Morris.
Oh,
Uh,
you never remember his name, but you always tell me
Hamilton
how much
Morris,
you love him.
dude, I love this guy. But like he talks about the dangers of making, and we're talking about weed in particular, like making drugs illegal, and like how just think about how long it's taken for our collective consciousness to shift to think like, okay, it's fine, it's just a plant, it grows like people are still scared of this shit
Right.
like it's some kind of thing. Like
Crazy.
it just takes so long, years and generations of people to get, and when it's a simple thing, like you can just ask your everyday scientist, hey, what are the dangers of weed? Makes you hungry, sleepy. Okay, there you go.
Right.
Oh, this shouldn't be illegal. It's simple. Like you can just, it's a basic common knowledge,
Yeah.
and
Right.
the fact that it's still considered a Schedule 1, it's just like, it just shows how, in a lot of ways, like childish, and like not like we look at our government like it's this amazing
Right.
thing, and like but then in a lot of ways it's so behind and it's slow and it's
Right.
like it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not realistic. It's very like it's
A
pretty
part
crazy.
of that is that it's all about government's run by special interests. It's very complicated,
Yeah.
right? It's like who's putting money into whose pockets. So, and that's where all the policy really comes from. Yeah, and that's why actual progress takes so long, because there's just so much money in the political systems. I don't know. I feel like corruption is going to be prevalent no matter what government it is. But that's why if you socialize as many things as possible, you limit that, and you limit the, harm that you can do to society by just saying like, look, it's our policy. We're just a government. You do your thing. Like you can't pay me. Like I'm already giving it away for free.
Yeah.
You know. But I don't know. That's hard to do. You're not going to change the American psyche on that.
No. That's gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, we're obviously all on the same page on it. I would say our generation is a lot more, even if you talk to conservatives in our generation, they're a lot more like, yeah, I agree with you on that, you know? So maybe we'll make a difference.
I
Create
hope
progress.
so. Yeah. I mean, I've been tempted to like get into local politics just to start trying to make a change. You know,
You talked about that. Yeah.
I think it'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Vote Tom Harris.
I
Dude,
know.
I'm in.
I would love to
Let
just
me
like
work for you. I'd be a fan to just, you know, just go along for the ride, learn about it.
I feel like I could luck up and run for an office that was like unopposed, you know, and just like
Yeah.
bam, just win, and then you're in. Then you have something on your resume. Then you can start chasing higher and higher offices. Who knows?
Dude, just run against somebody. You got a podcast. You got
got a
means of
platform.
communication. Yeah, you got a platform.
Yeah.
You just get on here and
Why
just
not?
talk shit about him or her, whoever
Right.
you're running against.
And then you can wear a patch over your eye. Be Dan
You can't
Crenshaw.
win-
Dude,
you
let's get
can't-
Dan Crenshaw on the show and
I
ask him why
tried.
he's so fucking
I-
backwards.
I tried, and they sent me a general fuck off email. It was kind of just like I called his office. No, Adam called his office. They gave us someone to email. I emailed that person. The person we emailed sent us to someone else, his schedulers. If you're listening to this, Dan, he's not doing the show now.
No,
so
he's
it's like,
he's actually he's sick now, right? He's got
I didn't-
he's got a
What?
condition. Yeah, I think his.
I don't know, but we had a great time with him watching Kanye West.
Oh, I
We
know.
were jamming out.
We went to Kanye's Sunday service here in town, and he was there. But anyway,
Really?
so Adam called his
Is
office.
he pretty cool?
I no, I'm just
he's
kidding.
not
I didn't
fucking cool.
meet him
He
at all.
there.
He was
We
like
were
on the first
in
row.
the fucking,
Yeah.
nosebleeds, and he was down there on the floor right by the stage. But Adam called the office. They told us who to email. The email person sent me to the email address of his scheduler. I wrote that person. They wrote me back and basically said, yeah, we'll get back to you if Dan can do this in the future. Thanks for writing in.
Yeah.
And that was like a month ago.
Yeah. No, I think he's got a condition right now where he's.
Well,
he
especially
can't-
being on Joe Rogan podcast, I'm sure he had a lot of people blowing him up after that.
Wait, when did he go on Joe Rogan?
He's been on multiple
recently,
times,
yeah.
but most recently a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
About a month ago, right when I think we tried to get him on our show because we thought, hey, he's doing Rogan. Rogan's here
Yeah.
in Texas.
Right.
Dan's here in Texas. Dan's office is not far from here.
Oh, he's back now publicly. He had eye surgery and they thought he was gonna be
On the good eye?
on. No,
Oh.
I doubt it. I don't know.
Wait, what?
I don't know. He had eye surgery. Thought he was going to blind. Apparently, I don't know. I just looked on my phone.
How did he
Procedure
lose
went
his
well.
other eye?
Combat?
In
combat?
overseas, yeah.
Okay.
I believe it was an IED related incident.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was an IED
Okay.
related incident.
Yeah.
Two things. One, it'd be cool to fucking just sit across from Dan Crenshaw and just be like, tell me all your backwards ass ideas.
Let me
That'd
have
be
it,
just
all
so
of it.
cool.
Give me all the
It'd
fucked
be so
up
cool to
stuff.
just tell him from my perspective.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
like a conversation.
I'm sure he would too.
No, I'm sure he would. I also want to know how he is on Joe Rogan because when he's on TV, he goes on Fox News. It's like the very same conservative, boring ass talking.
Yeah, no,
points.
he's very
But
very chill.
I feel
and,
like he's actually smart.
Yeah,
Like,
he is for sure.
Like
You can tell.
Well, I mean, all these guys. Even Ted Cruz is smart. He's a piece of shit,
Dude,
but he's smart.
can I
he's
tell y'all
smart.
my experiences with some politicians? Because I've had the opportunity to be in the same room as like Sylvester Turner,
Sure.
who's the mayor of Houston. I've been in the same room with Tony Busby and what's this other dude? He's Dan Crenshaw's friend. Oh, what's his name? Blank on his name.
Dan Crenshaw's friend.
Yeah, he's a Republican running
He's
for
a
Republican.
representative? State representative?
I'll think of his name. Wesley Hunt.
Oh,
Oh,
Wesley Hunt.
oh.
Multiple politicians I've been around, and it's so interesting because I think what they're best at is like knowing how to control a room.
Yes.
The district attorney Kim Ogg, I was in the same room with her, talking with her. Like these people control a room.
Yeah.
They literally know how to
manipulate and
know
like,
what to say and how
Yeah.
to say it
Mhm.
in a way that makes you compelled.
Right.
So it doesn't matter really what they're saying a lot of times, because they can just be lying straight up in your face
Yeah.
and just be telling you something, but you listen to them and you're like, yeah, I believe you.
Right.
Because that's how they're,
Right.
they're mainly like oral, like almost like masters
Yeah.
of the craft of
Right,
like knowing how to
right.
speak, and like it's really interesting to watch these guys because I'll see them in front of the camera, boom, 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 they're just doing their thing. They sound so like, and then off the camera, there's someone different.
There's
It's like,
someone.
whoa.
It have to be.
And then
because to be
I would hear the behind the scenes stuff. I would hear the gossip behind. Oh, she said she'd do this, and she didn't do this for me for the past year. What's going on? Like, so like, I would hear all the things like that, and so it's like so interesting to see like the way like in person, like the way they look at people.
Yeah.
I think that's why Donald Trump was so amazing. Like, like he can control the room.
Yeah.
He's
Absolutely.
like everyone would just be compelled. Like,
Dude,
it didn't matter what he
yeah.
was saying. People just like, yeah, right on.
you know
Literally
what?
say anything.
He literally said anything, and guess what? Both sides benefited from it.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, talking points for MSNBC and CNN all day. They love fucking Trump, right? Oh, what's the next racist thing he's gonna say? And then Fox News obviously loves him for obvious reasons, but because he's such a big draw,
Right.
like conservative Republican voters, especially the populist Republican voter, they love him. Like they weren't turning out to vote for Mitt Romney; they were turning out to vote for Donald Trump.
you
Though.
got- that's why it's like so crazy to me that the Democratic Party picked Biden to go up against Trump, because it's like, here you have the least fucking interesting. Like, if fucking oatmeal was a person, it would be Joe Biden.
That's hilarious.
Not even flavored oatmeal. Like, not
Yeah,
the maple
the
cinnamon, okay? Not the
unsweetened
strawberries and cream.
shit. Yeah.
Like, not even the fucking oatmeal. The box the
hilarious.
oatmeal comes in.
Oh my
That's
God.
Joe Biden. And they put him up
Can't argue
against,
that.
like, the most
Charismatic.
polarizing,
Yeah.
charismatic, people energizing person on the. This man literally inspired thousands of people to break into the Capitol building, and they put up
Yeah.
Cardboard Joe against him.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
I guess it worked because,
Yeah.
it, like, in the same vein, could inspire a lot of people to hate Donald Trump the way he was. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
Well, again,
yeah.
it's yes, it's inspired a lot of people to hate Donald Trump.
it's like when the Democratic
put your-
Party was like,
Sid, put your mic a little closer.
Oh,
like they were like shitting on Bernie, and they were like constantly like, I mean, it's proven. I don't know, maybe I sound like a crazy person, but I think there is a lot of reason to assume that the Democratic Party sort of sabotaged the Bernie Sanders campaign.
sort of.
I'm just trying to be civil on the podcast. What I'm
They
saying
did
is,
No, let's talk. Let's say the
If-
truth.
if
they
you
did
look
sabotage
at
it.
like the rallies Bernie Sanders was having, and he was just having fucking stadiums full of people, and this happened back in 2016 too. Stadiums full of people, the most impressive online presence of like support in
Yeah.
the world, a diverse group of fans from like 18-year-old girls with green hair to like people
Yep.
that were marching in the 60s,
Right.
all behind this one fucking charismatic,
Right.
dope ass old dude.
Yeah.
And like literally they
Dope-ass old
actively
dude.
sabotaged him
Yeah.
to put bran flakes up there against him, you know. And
Well,
then
Hillary-
in 2016,
well,
Hillary couldn't even fill a fucking high school gymnasium, and they were
Yeah.
putting her up there against Trump. She's walking out there dressed like she's part of the fucking intergalactic council, you know, in her fucking weird ass suits and shit. She's putting those videos on Vine, like, I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids, and like, of course she was gonna get fucked on by Donald Trump because she was the wackest fucking candidate that's ever
Yeah.
existed.
And she's some extremely corrupt shit
I mean,
going on.
well,
So
yeah, she's just
everything was
sucks.
bad about her.
She
On that
like,
point though, like
yeah.
I was gonna say, like there's some amazing other people who are representing
Right.
Tulsi Gabbard, and there's some amazing people
Well,
who.
Tulsi Gabbard has kind of showed herself to be
I like her, though,
kind of
but-
fucking crazy.
Why?
I liked her a lot.
No, but
she,
Why?
she's
Okay, no,
a little fucking
I only wanted
nuts.
to say this just to make my point that there's other people that are so much better than Biden and Trump and other people. Like there's so many other people that are amazing, but they don't get any light of day. You
so
know?
whoever Biden's campaign manager was, I looked her up. I had to know. I was like,
Who
'cause
is this
whoever she
magic
did,
woman?
She should be president. Like she's a genius.
But it also felt like he didn't campaign at all.
Well, no. The second thing is the media, right? CNN, like this. Name one tough moment Biden had from the media during the campaign.
Right. Just softball.
Dude,
softball.
Yeah, and Trump's up there.
Softball.
He's just like, they're like, why are you racist? Right?
Yeah.
They're like, straight up, why are you racist?
I sort
I'm not racist. Totally love the blacks.
I know. Look at my African American. I
Yeah.
loved when they were asking Trump shit. Like he would be at a Democratic, I don't want to say a Democratic news organization led meeting, but like he would do a debate, and the debate would be hosted by like CNN or something. And so CNN would obviously be harder on him than like Fox News, and they would be like, "Sir, are you prepared to come out right here and condemn white supremacy?"
Right,
And he's just
yeah.
like, "Who do you want me to give me a name?" Like it was just,
Yeah, he's
it was
just like,
so.
all right, what do you want me to do? Just
It
condemn.
was so
Let me condemn
entertaining
it.
to just watch this shit
Because
happen.
dude, and that's why he's such a big following, because the people that are like, dude, they're asking these questions that I don't give a fuck about. Like, I don't care if Donald Trump is condemning white supremacy. That doesn't affect me. What affects me is like, I'm sick at home and I can't pay for my medical bills. I don't need the media debating whether or not he's a white supremacist. Yeah, he's probably he's racist. Okay, we know. How that doesn't help me as far as my situation, and I think that's where the media, that's where the left, they lose so many.
Right.
People that would vote. There's people that voted for Obama religiously. Like, they did it. They believed in him because Obama ran on a campaign which is very populist, the same way Trump did. People turn out to vote for Obama. People turn out to vote for Trump. People turn out to Bernie rallies. Why? Because they are so. Like, Trump's a like the same thing I said, populist, because he speaks to like what they're dealing with. He speaks to the shit they like, the shit they say and the shit they think, and he's so good at that. Where Trump failed, is that he just let the Paul Ryans and all the institutional Republicans kind of like run his thing, and I'm going off the deep end here, but tax cuts, like the Tax Cuts Act that is Trump's signature achievement. All it did was fuck over his base.
Yeah.
Those are the people. It fucked over like 98% of Americans, except for the really, really rich people that didn't have to pay taxes now. But his base, like, they turned out to vote for Trump because they were like, okay, this is a guy who's not the same old, we should watch our deficit except when we go to war with a random country whose oil we want.
Right. They're like, we should drain the swamp. Let's get a non-career politician in here. That'll fix everything. And it's like...
Mitch and Paul Ryan ran the Republican Party, and that's why I think Trump lost again to Biden. I think that's the unsaid reason why Trump really lost to Biden is I think Trump lost some... He still had 75 million people vote for him, which is more than any other person other than Biden this year, which speaks to how insane America has become.
So polarized.
You have 160 million people turn out to vote. Holy shit! We've been wanting this but I think that's why he lost. I think that's a big reason why he lost.
Right.
Is Republicans lost, some faith in him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
do you think
he could win again easily?
You're talking about like them asking him what he thought about white supremacy or whatever, and like all these other topics that come up in our news feed and our stories. Do you think that a lot of that is just? I mean, I think it is like distractions. Just
it's such distractions.
Distractions to make you not look at what the real problems and real issues are going on. Because some of the real problems and issues are simple things, like what we were talking about earlier. How to get free education, how to student loans. Those are like, obvious problems that need to be addressed now. And then why is it that, we're so quick to jump onto the next story, or not but I think it's like purposefully manipulated to get people to look at this, look at that. Don't look at this. Let's hide this behind the curtain.
This is CNN. Okay, you could talk about how many people are, in poverty because of student loan debt, couldn't make you can make stories on stories on stories on stories, and you can make them exciting about that. You could talk about everything, how war on drugs is affecting incarceration rates of minorities, right? You could talk. There's so much stuff we know. You've seen those Vice shit. Been on HBO, and you can run these stories every day and keep it in people's minds and make it activism. But no, what do you see on CNN when you turn on? Coronavirus deaths, one. Second is, what could Donald Trump might say? Maybe he might say something. Remember when Donald Trump was racist and Joe Biden wasn't? Yeah. Like, how amazing is it? Oh, great, we don't have a racist president, but great, that's awesome. But we also don't have free healthcare, free education. The wealth inequality gap is still growing. During the coronavirus pandemic, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and all those guys fucking quadrupled their wealth.
Oh, yeah.
How crazy is it that like Jeff Bezos lost like 40% of his wealth when he got divorced, and then like made that shit back, and then way more than he'd ever had before? Like, I felt like in a couple weeks, like when he gave old girl 60 billion or whatever the fuck, and like at the time he was worth like 140, and he gave her fucking 60, and then I looked in like a month and he was at 200, and I was like, you gave her 60.
It is interesting.
How the fuck did you go all the way up?
It is interesting that during this whole pandemic, the rich got a lot more richer,
much
and
richer.
then the people here stayed the same or went
It
worse.
also like it makes sense to note that like it's not like Jeff Bezos like logs into his bank account and it says 200. Like he's not liquid $200 billion.
But they're taking advantage.
I know it's
of
all,
what's
but I
happening.
mean it's like stock worth and things like that. That's why it's fluctuating all the time. It's like their net worth is constantly going up and down because the majority of it is stock worth.
Right.
But it's just crazy to think that his net worth, I mean, it over doubled, right? He
Oh, yeah.
went from like being under 100 billion
So
to
did a
over
lot of people.
200 billion.
Yeah.
He's not there anymore. I think now he's like back down to 160 or whatever. A mere 160 billion dollars, which I don't even think should be possible. I don't even think it should be possible for someone to have that much money. But it's just so crazy to think that while businesses were just getting fucked and like people's lives were just being ruined,
Right.
people were literally like fucking dying because they couldn't afford to just like take care of themselves and stuff like that. Like businesses that have been open for 50 years, family restaurants that have kept families thriving for years,
Right.
just dust.
Right.
And then you have these like kings in their ivory tower, just fucking Amazon
You
through
just
the
see
roof.
them
Yeah, just like
laughing in their fucking
seriously,
evil
it's
villain.
so sad
You
and
know-
fucking crazy.
Yeah, something interesting. Yeah, one. I mean, that touches upon our other what we were talking about before, right? Like, no one's worth $1 billion. What is $1 billion? Who needs a fucking $1 billion? You could have 35 kids, and like, I don't know, you'd still be way too rich.
I mean, like seriously, he more money than like the GDP of a lot of countries. You know.
Who needs $1 billion? Like, what's the point of that? Like, how can that potentially make you any more happy than somebody
You
just
couldn't
needing to
spend
get
it
through
all.
college?
You couldn't spend it all
You
unless
can't.
you just started
you can't
like
even count it.
buying like nuclear class aircraft carriers or some shit. Like unless you started like amassing your own navy, there's no way you could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know how much money $1 billion is?
You could buy every team in the NFL, and then like wait a couple of years, profit off that, then go buy every team in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like you could.
Actually, Tillman bought the Rockets for like $5 billion or some crazy $2.5 billion.
Your
$3 billion.
average NBA team is like Alex Rodriguez just bought the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think he paid 1.8 billion. Your average sports franchise is in the neighborhood of $2 billion, depending on the franchise. Like the Yankees would probably cost you more, like almost $5 billion,
right.
but you
no,
could
I
buy.
would say the Yankees would cost you like $20 billion.
No, not
Oh,
that much.
The Rockets might cost $5.
No.
Or the Mavs.
No, I think the
I think
most
the- yeah.
the most
I'm gonna look it up.
the most expensive or like the franchise that's worth the most on planet Earth is Real Madrid.
Wait, do you have the? We can pull up on the computer. If
I
you
don't
want.
Oh
have
no,
the
you're
keyboard
right.
over here.
Yankees are worth 5.25 billion.
Yeah. So the Yankees are about a $5 billion franchise, but you could probably like the Jacksonville Jaguars. $1 billion, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is like if you're worth 190, this is such a wild like train to go. This is like a stupid conversation to have. But I'm just saying, like you could have anything.
No, it really
You
puts
know?
it in perspective though, because when we're talking about billions, it's very hard to conceive what we're actually
Sure.
talking about here.
If you have
because
$100 billion,
it's just-
you could own the New York Yankees 20 times over. My favorite way to think about it is like $1 billion is 1,000 million. So imagine having $1 million in a briefcase, right? Imagine a briefcase that has $1 million in it. You'll never have anything like that in your life. But imagine $1 million in a briefcase. Jeff Bezos has over 100,000 of those briefcases.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. It's insane. And I don't understand how you can have a society with that and then have people with absolutely nothing, no matter how hard they work.
There's some great videos online that I've seen, like talking about the 1% and what they actually own compared to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And like they show these charts and these cool graphics and stuff. And when you see like the scale of it all, it really puts it in perspective. And you're just like, you can't. It's just mind-boggling.
No, I don't think anyone really gets how big those numbers are.
It's mind-boggling.
It's actually stupid. Like, how is this the way?
It feels like in a comic book where like the Flash runs into the future and he comes out in like 2075 and it's like the year is 2075. People are worth $100 billion. You know, like it sounds like some shit from like Back to the Future where like Marty McFly went too far and the world's all fucked up. Like it doesn't feel like this should be real life, but it is.
Yeah.
And then you'll have like, your conservative friends on Facebook. Well, Biden's gonna raise the capital gains taxes. Well, he might do that, but it won't fucking affect you because you don't make enough. Like,
Yeah.
why do you care?
These people that make like
You're not gonna make 400 grand on capital
No.
gains taxes. I'm sorry.
Even
like,
these people that are like really well off, like, you know, if you live in Texas, I mean, if you live anywhere for the most part, but like if you live in Texas and let's say you make like 100 grand a year, you are living really well. Like you can
Oh,
live
yeah.
so nicely. And even then, you are nowhere close to being affected by like
Right.
plans like that.
Right.
So it's these people that are like on Facebook and they're going like, this is ridiculous. And it's like, bro, we are trying to help you. And
Yeah,
like you will
like, we're
never be
trying.
affected by this.
We're trying to make the playing field
Why
level
are
so
you
you
acting
can feel
against
rich.
your own self-interest?
Like
you know?
imagine if you didn't have to pay that $300 premium a month
Right.
of healthcare that you pay. Imagine.
No, because I work for what I earn, and like I'm not gonna sit here and I work for every single
And
thing that I
imagine
have.
rich
And it's
people
like,
paying for that $300. How good would
nothing.
that fucking feel?
It's like if a fucking nickel fell out of their pocket.
Yeah.
That's what $300 is to them. You
I,
know?
I think there was like a stat that if Jeff Bezos paid like everybody worked at Amazon, I don't know, like let's just say like 100 grand a year. It was something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna pull it up because I'm lazy. 100 grand a year, he would still have more. He still have the same amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So if you paid everyone that worked at Amazon 100 grand, right then and there, just gave him 100 grand. He would still have more. He still have the same amount of money as he did pre-pandemic.
Oh my god.
Right? Crazy.
You mean like if he just like if that
If
was
he
their
just
salary,
made
or
their
if he just like
lives-
wired them $100,000? Like if he just said, "Hey, here's $100,000."
All right, let's just make it hard. Let's make it a sal. Let's like $100,000 salary. Still, like, boom,
Right.
their lives are made. You can make their lives
Bro.
and still be just as rich as you were before.
Like I'm at a spot in my life right now. $15,000 would change my entire life.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
for sure.
But $100,000, first of all, I wouldn't know what to do. But second of all, like the fact that he could do that for every single person, and then you hear about the conditions in these Amazon fulfillment center work.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, people shitting in
I
their
was about to say,
trucks.
fucking warehouses, warehouses.
They are workhouses.
I know these fucking warehouses.
People were rioting and like fucking
Bro. They're like timing you. Like if you have to get from one product on this side of the warehouse and one product, if you're not on one side of the warehouse to the other in like 2 minutes, maybe you're not the most efficient person. You shouldn't work here. Like you have to like you clock so you basically have like a picks per hour ratio, right? So imagine like it's like points per hour if you were or points per minute, whatever in the NBA, right?
Mhm.
And it's like they look at how many picks you can fulfill in an hour. And that clock, that timer does not pause if you go to the bathroom or something like that. So you have people that are like, oh, fuck, I have to take a bathroom break. But can I afford to take a bathroom break? Because if my pick per hour ratio gets too low, I might get fired. You know?
Yeah.
And if you get fired, they literally just fucking plug someone else. in.
Yeah.
There have been people
Crazy.
that have died in those Amazon warehouses. Nothing stops. They literally just plug another person in doing what they were doing, and they like wheel the fucking corpse out, and they're like, "Keep the machine moves on, baby." And they refuse to let their workers unionize.
Yeah.
Like they literally have like put out videos saying like, "This is why unions are horrible. This is why
Yeah.
you should never unionize."
Oh my
Let us know if you hear someone in the break room talking about forming a union. Please, like they literally have instructed their employees. If you hear
I work at
about
a
the
place-
formation of a union, you
Yeah.
are to let us know.
Yeah, I think I heard about that when I worked at Home Depot for a little bit. There's been a couple places I've heard they were like, "Hey, if you hear about people forming a union, let us know." And because
Think about
they
that.
want to stop it immediately.
That's
They're
so
just like,
well, it's so crazy. I think there was recently
But
a vote.
yeah, no, there was something that happened at Amazon recently where some of the workers stood up, like
They
came
lost.
together. I don't know what happened. Is
I
that
think
what happened?
I think that
Bezos
the
probably made them
anti-union
disappear. They're like
the anti-union dude with the amount of money that's going against the union people, which is so crazy. Again, that's not capitalism. If workers don't have like a choice like that's fair and equitable, as an average person, you don't really have much of a choice like what your working condition is going to be. You're going to take a job,
right.
and the employer can dick you around as
Yeah.
much as possible. They have all the power, right? You're just happy to get a job, happy to get money. You don't have worker rights here.
Yeah.
Like if you ask for minimum wage or more than minimum wage, let's say you work at McDonald's, you're like, I want 15 an hour. They can fire you.
Dude, speaking of this, I read the people's history of the United States
Oh yeah,
by
it's
Howard
fucking-
Zinn.
Yeah,
Oh my God, he talks
you
about.
read the whole thing?
Oh yeah, and
It's like 90,000 pages, right?
No, 90,000.
I don't know.
He's using
I saw the-
hyperbole, but
I
it's
saw-
clearly a lot
I
of
saw
pages.
the-
It's a big book.
I saw
it's
the
pretty thick.
audiobook was like 34 hours.
It's pretty thick, but it's incredible. Once you start reading it and you hear the stories,
Yeah.
it's just
Have
like,
you
wow.
heard these people like Ben
But the-
Shapiro that are like, that book is an embarrassment?
Dude,
like,
I know.
like so
So-
many
Here,
people.
I'll
have
tell you
said-
what it is.
So Ben Shapiro is an interesting one.
He is.
Ben Shapiro's
we
a
can talk
piece of
about-
shit.
But I'll tell you what the history
Yeah.
of the United States is by Howard Zinn. It's literally just some guy went in depth research throughout history since like the conquest, like right after the conquest, or right whenever the United States started to get become this thing, and he basically just takes accounts from people, like real accounts, people writing in their diaries or writing letters or whatever it is about the accounts. Like, so that's why it's called the people's history, because it's literally just accounts, people's accounts, at your everyday average Joe who's fighting in the militia or whatever, just their stories of what happened to them, and it just in-depth, detailed accounts of what was happening from the perspective of the people. See, we get the history from the perspective of the government, the people in the power.
I would
And so,
say the people in power. I would
Yeah.
rather say people in power than government.
okay, yeah.
Because it's more than just the government. It's
For
like
sure.
who's got the
For
fucking
sure,
money,
without a
right?
doubt. So anyway, this is just from a completely different perspective. That's all this is. This book is coming from a different perspective than what your average history is coming from.
Right.
And so, and I only brought this up to talk about the working conditions. Insane. I mean, we had kids, we had elderly, we had everything from in between. It didn't matter, and people were literally working 18-hour shifts.
Yeah.
You literally, you wake, you probably go to sleep. Some of them would work in these factories, and you would sleep right next to where your workstation is.
Yep.
You wake up the next day. There's no going home. There was no weekends. There was so many people had just extreme, like all they did 24/7 was work, and that
Yeah.
was their life. And so like going, like it's insane to like hear those stories, and then come back to what we're talking about now. Is like we have a lot of, I mean, people fought for this, but
Sure, but that's not
and-
the standard you should
no,
compare.
definitely
like,
not.
Well,
it's like back
definitely
then,
not.
like you look at like the early 1900s or whatever, and you had like the 9-year-olds selling newspapers,
Yeah.
and they're just like living on the street, and they're just like covered in smoke, and they're, you know, or like people were working in warehouses, and they would just like get a hand cut off, and they'd be like, all right, put in Jimmy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
take him out of here and put another guy in, and it's just.
well, no,
Is that
what you're
not the
saying is-
standard we should compare it to? Because that's what we are. That's what China's doing.
No, but
We're
what
trying
I'm
to
saying
compete
is
with
like
them.
we
Yeah.
shouldn't like look at that and go, well, it used to be like that, so I guess we
No,
got it
for
really
sure.
good right
No,
now.
I'm only saying that to bring comparison because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very similar. You're talking about Amazon. It
Well-
doesn't sound very much different from that.
What
Right.
he's saying is
And-
essentially like it took unions to actually like
Right.
it took
Oh, so
organized workforce
Here's another
to
side.
do this.
Here's another side of that book. Is the only reason those things changed were the people who stood up
Exactly.
in those jobs. It wasn't going to change any other way unless the
Yeah.
people in those jobs, people working those, stood up and said, "We're not going to do it."
Right.
There were
Yeah.
riots in the streets. They would literally bring out the military. The U.S. If people rebelled like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
the corporations, the people who had the money, they said, "Hey, we need to put down this rebellion. We need to, our
Right.
employees aren't working. Come out here." People were dying. People were getting shot in the streets.
Yeah.
There was this
Yeah.
one story of these miners who were just working extremely crazy. I mean, as you can imagine, like it's probably like 1800s, insane conditions, and they just said, "No, we're not doing it anymore. Fuck this. We're done." And they ended up camping in like they didn't have anywhere to stay. They were camping on the side of a mountain,
Right.
and we brought in the U.S. brought in military and came and just shot people down. They're just shoot them, get rid of them. That's a
What
story
the
in that
fuck?
book.
That's
And
fucking insane.
That's just one story among thousands of stories and accounts that's happened in U.S. history that you'll never hear about unless you read books like that or hear
Yeah.
people's accounts, real stories accounts. Because the government or your textbooks, you're not
Yeah.
gonna get that. They're not gonna tell you what they're doing like that.
That ties in pretty well. So I was talking about the gold standard shit, right? I mean, it's those people that in America the power has always been with the people who have money. Is no matter what.
Yeah.
It was obviously way worse before, and obviously, like through so many different movements, populist movements, free silver movements, like, William Jennings Bryan turning from a meme to a actual like legitimate politician. Which, if you read populism now, like I didn't know all this shit before. I sound like I know what I'm talking about now, but it's all because I read that fucking book.
Sure.
But because you're not gonna read it in a textbook. Basically, like all those movements from like the late 1800s to 1930, FDR becomes president. That's like the fruition of like all the struggle. Obviously, most people didn't even get to live to see that, right? That fought for it. But that's where I think that's like the pinnacle. Like we went from being so extreme to that, and now we're going back to this other extreme, back to what we were before. But it's so true. That's what it was, and because of things like the gold standard, like the powers were so centrally held, you had no chance. if you wanted to get pulled around the bush and shot by somebody like a big corporation because you got sick in a coal mine and you were being slow, you could get shot and no one would do shit about it.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Right?
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
And then
man.
so like that culmination to FDR. Think about that though. Like that's what America was until FDR, like 1930. It's crazy.
Yep.
And then now we're reverting back. You know, we had New Deal years from up and probably until right after Nixon, and then boom. Interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. What I also learned from reading that book was just like how incredibly important like people standing up and saying like, because everything I was like seeing, just like the massive movements that happened throughout history it was all because of big groups of people came together.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I mean, every once in a while, yeah, one or a few people stood up and like stood out among the crowd, but that's rare. What mainly created those movements and waves were just massive people coming together and saying, hey, we all agree that we don't like this. Let's make it happen and change it. Come on. And everyone just comes together and people die, people starve, people lose their jobs, people like go insane, crazy, like so many things, like people have sacrificed their lives just for just simple things, you know.
If you wanted to stand up for anything, I guess during the civil rights era,
J.
Edgar Hoover would pop you somewhere somehow.
It's a perfect example.
You know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I mean, definitely, J. Edgar Hoover killed them, or was behind it. I might be going to conspiracy theory here, but America doesn't. You have to fucking die to change the power.
Yeah.
You have to basically. And speaking of those cults of personality, but they were able to bring those people together. We don't have that now. I don't think of one cult of personality that you would like follow. Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I'd vote for Joe Rogan.
No.
Dude, I would vote Joe Rogan and
Joe
president.
Rogan is a self-proclaimed. He calls himself a moron. Like he admits.
That's what you want in a leader.
No, it is.
Yes, it is.
not.
No, I'll
That's
tell you
how
this.
Trump got elected.
No.
People want a moron.
No. It's not that.
That's
It's
not good.
No, it's not the fact that people want a moron. People want someone that's true and real to who they
People
are.
want a real person. Yes,
Yes.
and Joe Rogan is a real person, but I would never vote for Joe Rogan.
So who would be our cult of personality? Who is like the guy I look up to?
I
this
like Joe
guy?
Rogan.
That we don't have.
I obviously don't
my
agree with
point is
everything
I
he
don't
says.
have it. I don't think we have one.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually like to get to unite and to do all
The
that
closest
stuff.
we
It's gonna be
got,
tough.
and I don't care if like I'm naming a politician here, but the closest we got to a large amount of people uniting behind a politician that wanted to completely change the system and make things better for a lot of people was Bernie Sanders, and we'll never ever get that
I would
close
say
ever again.
I would say you had more with Obama, but Bernie.
No,
was good.
Obama was. I don't think Obama was nearly as progressive as, like,
He-
what I'm talking about in terms of someone who radically wanted to completely fucking. I don't think Obama was
Obama early speeches, yeah, he sounded a lot like.
But
Bernie,
once he
and
got into
people going.
office-
But once he got into office, yeah,
super
of course.
tame,
Yeah.
not progressive in a way that you would think. You
I,
know,
mean, I
like-
agree. I agree with that. But his speeches and what he was able to do, and the people he bring out to vote, he would get Republicans to vote for him because they truly thought. Bernie Sanders is. I mean, Bernie Sanders is populist left, and Donald Trump's populist right. And I think America is not so divided because I think those people that love both those people, there's a lot of commonality. There's a lot. They're both speaking to a very, very similar sentiment in those people. And that's why they'll be able to pack stadiums. We talk about so much about how this country's divided. That's only in the media, right? The media is divided.
Yeah, when's the last time you heard your friend like, man, my neighborhood's so divided, everyone hates each other here.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really happen.
If
you know,
Dan
like that.
Crenshaw was sitting right here, like we'd be offering him beer, shooting the shit
For
with
sure,
him. Like
for sure.
he's another, normal human being. Yeah, he's got different opinions, and yeah, he's probably cool behind the scenes and a douchebag on Fox News. But still, like I'm sure I got a lot in common with the guy. I'm sure
Yeah.
Ted Cruz.
Easily.
No, I probably don't. But no one really does. No one likes him. He's just an outlier, and he should get the fuck out of where any vicinity of any person.
But like what we're saying is like I could sit here on this show or like anywhere in my home. I would invite almost anyone into my home that wasn't like an actual fucking criminal or whatever. Like I could sit and talk with someone on the complete opposite side of the political spectrum that I'm on, and I would totally be down.
I would
Just have
love
a
it.
nice,
I would love
civil, awesome. I'd be like, hey, I'll make us dinner. Like let's just talk. Like so we talk about how divided we are, and like at the end of the day, your average person, I don't think, really wishes ill intent
Yeah.
on someone
No,
from the other side.
even you have the people on Facebook or just in person, your friend, like, I fucking hate Donald Trump. He's the
Yeah.
worst. He's a devil. Like, he's this and that. You just call him the worst fucking names
Right,
you could
right.
ever think of, right? But if he walked in the room right now, would you say any of that to
No
him? No,
way.
right? So it whenever you're like, no, Tom's thinking about it, but no,
Maybe.
you wouldn't, right? The average person wouldn't, unless you're a little kind of crazy and you just start yelling shit out, you know?
If Mitch McConnell was here right now,
Yeah.
no, it wouldn't be very. I would have a lot to say to him, and it wouldn't be calm. I'd be really angry
Yeah, it
and
would.
probably yelling.
If he
No,
walked in this
Adam, no,
door
no.
right now,
No, I'm telling you,
would
right.
not start yelling.
No.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell is the key.
There
to
are certain people who
suffering
have
of a lot of
fucked
people.
America up enough to where I could not be calm with them. Like Dan Crenshaw, he's never really he's never like fucked the system up so bad that like
Yeah.
millions of people have
He's
suffered.
got a point.
But if
Yeah,
like Mitch
but I mean-
McConnell was in here right now, someone who has actively acted towards the detriment of the benefit of America for decades, no, I could not just sit here and be calm with him. No,
yeah.
I wouldn't punch him or anything, but I would not just be like,
You'd want
"Want a
to."
beer?" I would be
Yeah.
like, "You motherfucker!" You know, no,
Yeah,
no, I'm
like-
just kidding. I'm just kidding. But like,
And the thing is he would just laugh.
oh, well, I did what I had to do.
Yeah, and he'll
It's
say,
like-
"I did what I had to do." Like he is unashamed,
yeah.
and you have to be unashamed to do what he's
He
done.
laughs about the
right?
shit, man. Yeah.
you have to be
So
unashamed.
I'm saying
to
there's
kinda-
people like that where, like,
He's like, "Well, look how much power it got me."
right.
Like,
there are some people in a certain camp where like if Martin Shkreli came in here, the dude that like jacked
Pharma
up the
bro.
price of EpiPens by like 30-fold, you know,
Yeah.
I couldn't calmly talk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
But the
he's so-
majority,
yeah.
99% of the people on the other side of this field that I'm on, I'd love to just have a calm conversation with them. It's the same logic that I apply to like talking about religion with people of other religions. I would never like ever angrily talk to someone because I disagreed with their religion, unless their religion was like sacrificing children on a burning stake, like some Game of Thrones type
I
shit,
mean,
like
even then,
Lord
they
of
have
Light.
they have reasons for that.
Well,
No.
If your Lord tells you to burn children, your Lord is evil. You know, but like I
Yeah.
could talk to just about anyone
well,
non-angrily.
and we obviously should, and we all want to. Like, we do have so much more in common
Yeah.
than the media. Well,
So,
you know, or
yeah.
people will say that we are.
I just got done taking this cognitively based compassion training with Ann, who we had on the podcast last episode. And one of the things I learned the most was how interconnected. I kind of always had this intuition, but like how like interconnected we really are. And when you just really start to think about the basic fundamentals and the basic needs of every human, it's really just to be happy and to like not suffer. Like just try to not to experience suffering and to be as the happiest person you can be. It's
exactly.
really, you go down to the basic,
Yeah.
simple, fundamental, and when you like visualize that and you think about it and you understand it, it changes your relationship with every single person in your life, even yourself.
Yeah.
And and it's like when we can come from that place, like let's make that our starting line. Just all come from that place first, and then we
Yeah.
can have any discussion we want, and I guarantee you it'll go much better than how it happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, agreed. That's all any human. That's what survival is. You need love, compassion, and maybe some food and shelter. You got all that, you're fine. You don't need a fucking $1 billion. Yeah.
I like it. All right, I'm gonna make a cool transition here. Do you know what else you need? You need love. You need shelter. You need compassion. You also need sunlight. And Sid has a very special connection to sunlight because Sid, you work for.
So Sunshine Renewable Solutions
Yes.
is a company. So Jeff's one of my really good friends, the owner, was his first employee. So we just kind of built the thing up from the ground up. It's a solar company. So I was working in an accounting firm before, and he started this thing up, and I hated my job, and I was like, dude, get me, I'm down. Like I would have done anything at that point, right? Aside from sex trafficking. And so I shouldn't joke about it. Fuck. I don't know.
It's okay.
Fuck
You can
it.
joke here.
Safe space.
I think
but,
it's important to like make jokes about serious shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
you
know?
kind of have to,
Yeah,
otherwise
for
you'd
sure.
probably end up killing yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the pursuit of comedy, I think you can make fun of almost everything. So,
Agreed.
Yeah.
You need to laugh. We
I
have
hope
to.
so, right?
yeah.
We'll see. See how long that lasts. Too. 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we started this solar company, and we install solar for homes, for businesses. mostly in Texas. I've been doing a lot of work in California, but yeah, I mean that the big allure of solar is right, just having freedom and equity, and I thought it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Why doesn't everyone have solar panels on their house?
I mean, what do you guys? How much do y'all know about solar or?
Not a
general?
lot. All I know is when I own a home, I wanted to have solar panels on it. It's crazy to me to think that everything is not running on solar. I mean, you just drive by these massive neighborhoods, or like you'll drive through like the suburbs, those big places off of I-10, just communities of like 1,000 homes, and none of them, so many houses have solar. Like none of them have solar panels. It's just like, how is this not? How are new homes not being built with them already on, you know? Like, you watch these mega communities get built out in the suburbs, and it's like, how are these houses not being built with solar panels on? I don't know a lot about it. From what I've heard, it seems like, you know, the main preventer is like there is an initial startup cost that's kind of heavy. It's like to get in the door of getting solar panels on your house, it's thousands upon thousands of dollars, correct?
Yeah. Well, I can talk to that, but
yeah,
man, dude,
y'all keep talking.
Make me
make
me want to marry you, man. You sound. I feel the same way. We
it's
got
just
a lot in common.
crazy to think that like we literally have an energy source that is infinite, and yet we want to continue. Like, okay, the whole winter storm thing should have been like a kick in everyone's ass to see like, look at this. It got fucking cold, and because of that, millions of people lost electricity, and people were actually dying. When you have an unlimited energy source that is just in the sky, asking you, here, use me. It costs nothing. It's not like it drains the sun of its energy. You know, it's like there are no, at least that I know of, real negatives to solar. Unless, like, you have to mine some crazy material to make the solar panels or something. Then maybe there's an effect. But,
so,
like...
Yeah, let me touch on that first question that you asked about the initial upfront cost. So, look, if let's say you just pay cash for a solar system, and you're looking at 25, $30K on average, right?
Depending on the size of your home,
of cash,
right? It depends on how much area you're covering with
or
these
how
panels.
how much energy you use.
Okay.
So if you're paying a $400 electricity bill, and you got pools, and you got a giant ass mansion,
you're cooling 2
Sugar Land or
stories,
Houston,
and
you're gonna have a fat system. Like, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be like $60K. But look, if let's say you pay it up front, that money, no matter what, is getting allocated to energy. Like, you're not changing anything. You're not spending more now.
Right.
You're paying for your energy bill anyway. Right? Have you ever not paid an energy? You don't.
You're always gonna pay an energy bill.
You're always paying for an energy bill. So, like, you're not really paying you're not paying more.
Right.
You actually end up paying less, because if you pay for all your energy up front, so if you just think about it purely from a financial standpoint, not even think about it, and solar can reduce your bill to zero, which it can if you've got a good house, no shade, and a lot of neighborhoods in Houston are like that.
Right.
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you just pay for it all up front?
Sometimes it even puts money. Like, if you start generating more energy than you use, aren't you also putting electricity back into the grid? And sometimes you get some money back, right?
I've had customers with like negative $1,000 bills.
What?
Yeah.
Like, the city will give you $1,000, or
whoever you're buying the electricity from. So you have $1,000 bill credit that you use against future use, so you can.
It's not like they give you the money. It's like
it's gotten, I would say, over the years, it's gotten a lot harder to just get the cash,
right?
Rather than them just rolling it over.
All right,
for
so like
credits.
here in Houston, it's CenterPoint. So
they're the utility,
right? So if you're putting energy back into the grid, and let's say you have a negative $100 bill, CenterPoint is basically giving you a credit.
So okay. I'm glad you brought it. So CenterPoint's a utility. They deliver all the electricity. But in Houston, it's a deregulated market, right? So we heard a lot about deregulated markets, winter storm. I don't think anyone really knows what that means. They just say it. So
sure, it's what they heard on the news. Yeah,
deregulated market means, like, the utility is not the end seller. They're not a monopoly. They just own the grid. And then you have several retail electric providers that sell you the energy. So that you've got Green Mountain, Reliant, Direct Energy, Constellation,
TXU.
There's grid. You can even get Griddy, like a time of use. You can get like probably 100 different reps, and I named like the biggest one. So so they're selling you the electricity. So that's what deregulated means. Basically, utility is just the distribution, and then the whoever's selling you the electricity, their plans or whatever, it could be, you know, one of 100 retail electric providers. And then a non-regulated market is essentially like, basically like a municipality-owned grid, right? And or it could be a monopoly that, so Entergy, you know who Entergy is?
Yeah.
So they're out in Woodland, and so they're
When I was in Huntsville, I dealt with Entergy. Yeah.
Yeah, so Entergy is a monopoly. So basically, the jurisdiction, Centerpoint lines don't go out there, so the jurisdiction just has Entergy go out there, and with Entergy, you have no choice. Like, you're stuck with whatever they give you. They own the grid. They sell you the thing. They're a monopoly. So so there's two distinctions, and so when everyone says, "Oh, deregulated market sucks," like, "Oh, Texas has a deregulated market, they don't know what the fuck they're doing." Deregulated markets are actually good. People got gouged during the winter storm because they were on what are called time of use programs, so something like Griddy or something like that, where they charge you the wholesale rate. So if you're on a plan like that, during the wholesale rate, when power is out, you were probably paying. That's when you got those fat 1,000,
Right.
And so that's on the rep to not have. You got to have consumer protection in place, but to not have a monopoly and to have a choice of like, hey, I want to go with this person because they give me this rate to buy back my solar, versus this person who only buys it back. Entergy will only buy it back at a certain rate, and that's their rule, and it's shit. They don't have to buy it back if they even want to. Right. But with reps are competing for business. So like, one rep may not buy back your excess electricity and help you negate your bill, but other reps will step in and be like, you know what, we're going to be the green energy people. So that's where a deregulated market's great.
Yeah.
Right. A lot more customer choice. And then the other flip side, if you want to have a regulated market, you should probably do it like Austin Energy does it. They do a really good job. Well, I don't know, right now, since COVID, they don't really have much staff. And anyways, that's personal problems. But yeah, so they have a really good solar program, and they do a good job of monitoring it. But that's rare. Some municipalities do a good job. In California, they do a really good job. And because it's more government-run, governments have more of a say, like, hey, we want to charge this rate and buy back solar and do these kind of good things. Where you have Entergy, where you have a monopoly that's evil and controls everything. Yeah. Anyways, long spiel on regulated, deregulated markets.
Not a lot of people know this at all.
No,
like,
I know.
This is not common knowledge.
It's
So
like a TED Talk here.
people should know it.
You're
Yeah.
learning a bunch of shit. So, all right, so you spend the whatever the money is, right? And you get the solar panels on your house.
So going back, whatever, before I went on my tangent. So you spend the money, you go back in your house, and you're in Houston, you're in a deregulated market. There's a company out there called Rhythm, and they will buy back. So for every excess, so here, let's make it easier. During the day, you produce all your solar during the day, right? From
when the sun is there,
to in the summer, it's like 7:30 to 7:30, right? And so when the electricity goes, the sun goes down, your solar panels aren't producing. But during that day, I mean, you're most of the time
banked enough to
exactly. You're at work or something, right? So most of the electricity is going back to the grid during the day, and then when you come back home, it's feeding your home some, blah blah blah.
So
But-
I mean, does it? Is
So
it
it banks.
storing in
So
like
it-
a?
So the grid, because if you have a good buyback, they'll give you the credit that you deserve for sending that excess electricity back. Because what you're doing is you're helping the grid. So if your neighbor needs the electricity but you don't, it goes straight to there. And I don't know if people realize that, but that's how the grid works. You're just putting energy onto the grid, and it's free electricity. So if your neighbors have solar, you could be pulling their solar energy they're producing if they're not using it.
So it's not getting banked in some like battery unit in your house or some shit like that.
So it could be, but well, we can get to that.
Okay.
But it's getting banked by the grid.
It's going into the grid, and so basically you're still using like electricity the same way you would, right? It's not like
Electricity is a magnet, right?
Right.
So wherever it's getting pulled, it goes. So if your AC turns on and your solar is producing, and it was producing the same before, and so it was going to other houses before, now it's going boom back into your house because you're the more immediate, you're the closest thing to it, right? It's connected straight to your main service panel, so it's going straight to whatever, things are running.
right.
And then if there's excess electricity, it just flows back into the grid. And then that's where those credits build up.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you go on vacation, you're building fucking credits.
And so your meter just runs backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Holy
if
shit.
you got a good buyback, then you can have, that's how you get those negative electricity bills. So what you're doing is you're basically saying, like, I'm going to produce my own energy.
That's crazy.
I'm going to send, I'm going to just take what I need from solar. And that's how you end up paying less over time, because you pay one fixed amount.
Mhm.
As the price of electricity is going up and people's plans are changing, your bill isn't going up because your bill is staying whatever your solar is producing.
Yeah.
Which could be, if it, $0 or whatever, $5, it's not going up. It's not going from 3 to 350. It might go from like 2 to 5, right?
Yeah, and what a great way to use like the space that you're occupying. You know what I mean? If you think about, like, if you live in a neighborhood or wherever, like, you're occupying some kind of space, right? And that space can be used to create things.
Mm-hmm.
Why not use it to create energy or anything else that's going to help your neighbor
Right.
or your city or your state?
Yeah, and so, oh my God, it's already 8:49.
Yeah. You got to go?
No, I mean, I don't have to go, but it's late.
I
Not
do
late,
have to
fast.
go relatively soon.
Yeah, we
Let's,
can cut it
should we
short.
make a hard stop at
We've been
9
going
or
for
what?
we've been going for an hour 50.
All right, let's go to 9
do
because
10
9's a
minutes.
good goal.
Let's do
yeah.
9?
Yeah, because if we go to 9, then that'll put us at 2 hours, and that's a really pretty number. So, explain to me this. How do the solar panels work? How do they generate the okay? So the sun is hitting the solar panels.
Yeah.
How is that creating electricity?
So there's like, the photons activate some sort of chemicals that the solar cells are made of,
Uh huh.
and the solar cells then it activates. It's going to be a lot better if you read on the internet, but it activates the silicon and whatever chemicals that make up the solar cell. They react in certain ways, and then they basically create its electricity that sends down.
That reaction that happens in the solar cell creates the electricity.
Yeah.
And then it travels.
And
from
then it
there
travels through wire. So you wire it to an inverter. So you'll wire it. You can either have inverters right underneath the solar panel. They're called microinverters. You could have a central inverter. So you could have it all running through wires. All the solar panels connect to the wires. They meet at a junction box.
Mhm.
They get connected. You make one long run to your main service panel. So it's running through all of that, right?
Mhm.
All the electricity that's being produced, it goes into the inverter. So what's being produced by the sun is, in the solar panel, is DC electricity.
Mhm.
Your home runs on AC, alternating current.
Mhm.
So what the inverter does is it takes the DC energy that's produced,
Turns it into AC.
turns it into AC, and runs it through your home. So the inverter is really like the biggest. People always ask me questions about the solar panels. Like, talk to me about the inverter, because that's the most important part.
Right.
Because that's the one that's, if it goes down, you're fucked.
Right.
Or if it's like a bad make, or if it's whatever, that's going to cause you the most problems. Your solar panels are solar panels, dude.
Mhm.
It's like I don't know. It's so generic. But
Yeah.
people get fixated on the brand name. Dude, solar panels are solar panels. They're made out of the same shit.
And they're gonna, no matter, like, if you buy like the fucking Mercedes Benz of solar panels, or
Exactly.
if you buy the Toyota of solar
Like
panels,
they're
they
gonna
work the
produce
same.
they're gonna produce well.
Right.
Right. But the inverter, I think, it's the efficiency, how well it can translate the DC to AC, as well as like how well it runs. Can it
How
keep
big is
itself
that?
cool?
Does it just like sit on your breaker box? I mean, like, how
Yeah, it can sit on the side of your house. It can sit inside your house.
it can get rained on
Under the
whole
solar
night?
panel.
It can get rained on. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can get rained on. Or it can be a microinverter, and they're all sitting underneath the
Right.
solar panel.
But I thought what was really cool, I was learning about solar technology, was
Oh
now
yeah, you used to design.
have-
You do designs and stuff. You
Yeah, I
said
did a
that
little
about
bit.
shit.
But the was how you had these smart meters. So like if there's a certain part of the day where the shade is hitting your solar panels, it'll like deactivate that one and activate another one that's getting more, or something like
Yeah.
that, to where it's just making your solar panels work more
Yeah.
efficiently and in conjunction with each other. And it's just like really cool technology, because I know that hasn't been around
Yeah,
for too long. But
optimizers and
Yeah.
microinverters do that. So if like one panel is shaded,
Mm.
and the inverters and like the system has like a certain AC out, other panels will produce more electricity together. They'll communicate
Mhm.
to maximize the production from the rest of the system, and send that through. And then yeah, I mean that's That's the if you have a home, basically, like, that's the way to go.
So what do you think the future, like, let's say the next
Battery
25
storage?
years?
Yeah,
No,
where do you see solar like 20 years from now?
what I'm saying, do you think like what percentage of the population do you think will have solar in like 20 years?
Well, it just makes sense for it to be the main way we receive and distribute electricity. I mean, you do need to have a mix. So if okay, before I get into that, so I see honestly battery storage becoming energy storage in general is going to change technology and stuff, and we're already going towards electrifying everything using batteries and stuff like that. EVs are going to be huge in 5 years from now, right? Every probably fourth car might be EV, especially in California.
Yeah.
But it would just make sense, right? As much as oil and gas lobbies will fight, we'll see how hard they can fight, and Dan Crenshaw will help them as much as possible. But I do see like this truly sustainable way. It doesn't make sense to keep tearing. It doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't make human capital sense to keep having people drilling for oil, using workers for that, because we're all tending towards automation. What's more automatic than the sun producing energy, right? At all times. You don't need to have plant workers. You don't need to have this and that. So it makes sense from that standpoint. Then it makes sense from we can conserve a lot more resources if we do it this way. So I see once battery storage becomes less expensive, easier to manufacture, we find more efficient sources of storage. Like right now, lithium ion is what we're using for everything. But there's going to be better technologies than that.
Do you think the Tesla batteries that are coming out now are the best, like on the market you could buy?
No.
What do you think's the best batteries? I know like Tesla's making those wall batteries, and I don't know.
I could
who's
fill
up
up a podcast of all the bad new manufacturers that have come in and tried to sell me on their batteries.
Really?
But
What do you think's the best right now?
dude, my favorite system. So Solarc is a company that manufacture inverters, and they're smart inverters. You can plug in generators to them, batteries to them. They have a little computer screen. You can program it to kind of discharge and charge at any time of the day.
Nice.
And then there's certain battery brands that you can hook up to it. I would say like Solarc and like Fortress stores, Simplify. That's my favorite system because I think the Solarc is just it's just a cool piece of equipment. You can do a lot with it. You can hook up a generator to it and program it, and it's made. I mean, they're manufactured in Texas. Like I've been to their little plant, and they were a small ass company when I first started. Now they're exploding because for truly off grid, they're like the best thing to use.
All right, let's talk off grid because
like, we did a container.
Yeah.
East. I hope if City of Houston hears this, I'm going to pull up for it. But East River. So they're building in East Downtown over here. They're building a huge ass development. They're developing the shit of it. And if I showed you the area, you're like, oh shit, this is nice. And they just put a little office container out there, a container to work out of. And
I've seen it.
that
Yeah.
container.
But it's like East River, whatever the fuck they call that part.
Yeah.
There's
so that
this
container
drive-in
is-
movie theater.
Yeah. Exactly. And there's a container that's sitting out there, and it's an office, and it's running off grid. And we strapped the solar and the solar converter and batteries into it, and it's running. And I can show you how much it's doing. But yeah, I would say for me that's my favorite system because if I were to buy a home, let's say if you were to buy a home and you didn't want to pull, you were in remote, you didn't want to pull utility lines, you plug that baby in, that thing will run. That will run your appliances. What batteries struggle with is functionality, like how much can they actually run for how long? What appliances can they run for how long?
Right.
And so every battery has its strengths and pros and cons. With Solar, like with a brand new system, you can just run so many things, and it's so easily functional. It's so seamless. It's my favorite. So I would say that's my favorite. They're made in Texas too. They're gonna explode.
Nice.
I mean, you just go fucking off grid with those.
Yeah,
things.
dude, I love the concept of going off grid. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to have like a little like vacation home or something like that, or even just a spot. Maybe I can just go anytime I want, like off the grid somewhere just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if y'all have heard of these earth ships. They call them like kind of earth ships. Like basically these homes are kind of like built into the ground almost. Like they basically just made out of all recyclable material, like tires and glass and stuff. But like it's like reinforced with that kind of stuff, but mainly like kind of concrete, rock kind of slabs and stuff like that. And they're beautiful homes. Like you can build them and just kind of make whatever you want out of them because you're not restricted by wood or or anything like that. You're kind of just building your own thing. And they're beautiful and there's some cool stuff, but they're all run completely either solar, wind, and they have these irrigation systems are incredible. They have like the water that's running through your toilet goes into the garden or whatever, and like everything's moving in this cyclic form. It's amazing. It's just such a cool idea, and I love it because it just seems so sustainable, so natural, just the way like we kind of should be living. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
So
like,
there's
why
some
wouldn't you
fascinating.
if you could live that way?
If y'all don't know, look up Earthships like on
Okay.
YouTube and just watch it. It's
For sure.
incredible stuff that people are doing out there.
It gave me a lot of ideas. We're at the 9 o'clock. Basically.
What a time. It's
I
a
know.
show.
That flew by.
It always does. It never feel. Okay, this for sure did not feel like 2 hours or however long we've been
Yeah.
talking. Like that is crazy.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah,
That was
appreciate you
good.
spending time with us,
Yeah,
Sid,
thanks,
and
that was fun.
taking time out of your day to come talk with us.
Yeah,
and
Thomas
share your
isn't going to
thoughts.
be better than me next week. That's for sure.
Yeah,
We'll
we're,
see.
we're gonna try to have our other good friend who I met you through TD. Thomas. Hopefully he can come on the next few episodes. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Uh,
He's going to be better than me.
we'll see. I don't know. I'm sure we'll go down another political
Yeah.
rabbit hole with him.
And you can come on anytime, man. We can definitely have you back anytime,
Yeah.
dude.
We didn't even talk basketball.
Oh
Dude,
God,
we have to talk
Well,
basketball.
we've started talking about the idea of having like, you know how. So you're a Joe Rogan fan, right?
Yeah.
You know how he'll do like an episode, but then every once in a while there'll be like Joe Rogan episode, but it'll say like MMA show number what, and like
Yeah.
all they talk about is MMA.
Yeah.
We're thinking about doing like Midnight Variety Hour and then Midnight Variety Hour sports show, and just do
Yeah.
podcasts where we are allowed to just like for 2 hours do nothing but talk
Yeah.
about sports, because a lot of the people who listen to this podcast, only a select few amount of those people actually want to hear us sit here and talk about whether or not Andre Agassi could take Federer or like,
Which is no.
or
I
like
mean,
whatever,
I
or
know
like,
that.
the evolution of the point guard position and what it means in 2021. Like
But the
it's,
sport fans would.
Yeah.
yeah,
for
that's
sure,
what I'm saying.
for
So
sure.
that's why we would just label those and print those off as fucking sports
Yeah, that would be
shows.
fun.
And if you feel like you're a sports guy and you want to listen to it, then bam, go ahead. If you don't, skip to the next episode that is labeled not a sports show. So we'll see. Coming soon, maybe Midnight Variety Hour Sports Hour edition. We'll see.
Down.
I think it'd be fun. And then we could have the majority of our friends are into sports, so we have a really rich guest base, I think. But it
Oh,
would be
for
fun
sure.
to like have people on the show that we know have like really hot takes.
What'd be cool is before next NBA season, we just have like a pre.
Oh yeah.
Just like a chat, or before playoffs. I mean, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
do it. Those
For
are the
sure.
most fun.
Oh,
We
yeah.
need to have a playoff show. Like we need to have a pre-NBA playoff show, and then the NBA playoffs are 2 months long. So like maybe once
Yeah.
every other week.
Yeah,
do
after
like
every round or
Those
something.
are fun podcasts
every
to listen
round
to.
we do a fucking recap show where we just talk about our takes and stuff.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Do we
Okay.
have to get NBA license? Anyways.
No, you can talk about basketball for free. All right, well that was a good show, Sid. Do you have anything to plug? Do you want to give the website for Sunshine or anything?
I don't want to come on here and plug. I just want to come and talk. But if you do want to look up Sunshine Renewable Solutions, you'll find a lot of info on our website. If you can find me anywhere, you can hit me up. I don't want, you'll find me. Maybe.
You see
I don't
me when
know.
you see
We'll
me.
put a link in the description or
Yeah.
something like that.
You can ask me any questions you want about solar, but clearly I'll talk about more stuff.
That's
Okay.
what we love about you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on, Sid.
All right. That
All
was
right.
fun. That
Until
flew by.
next time, you guys, learn to play an instrument, email your politicians, and harness the power of the sun. Stay safe out there in the cosmos.
Peace.